right, let's do a cheers to the Sobeys and Safeway Liquid Beer for the podcast.
We ride again.
I love you guys.
Careful, that cake's hot.
5 seconds remaining. 4, 3, 2, 1. It is all over. The Edmonton Oilers have won the Stanley Cup.
For the win. Draisaitl centers McDavid, tips it home. Game over.
Curry gets it ahead to Gretzky. Gretzky going in. Suter trying to get back. Gretzky with his shot.
It's the 6 o'clock and check-in. Come on, let's go.
And he scores. Leon Draisaitl.
It's the AM Nasty Big Hello.
And there it is. Zach Hyman.
It's the Cool Ben Red Hot Nielson Show. Let's go.
The Oilers pouring it on. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Smith from behind the net. A wraparound. Horton scores. Edmonton wins.
Everybody tuning in, even my wife.
on the fly.
And those Macramala intros are cutting like a knife.
That is an absolutely pitifully bad call.
Hey, it's Mitch texting in. He's your dealer for life.
It is Marchand scores.
The stuck at 6 o'clock and lager with some sirloin bites.
McDavid, beautiful move. In on the box. What can you say?
Let's see the Curry score.
Here they come, the Oilers. It's dropped back. Bookberger shoots, scores! Bookberger! The Oilers win it!
The Oilers have won the Stanley Cup.
Good morning to you. It's a morning. Maybe not a good morning, but good morning nonetheless. It's Lieutenant Eric, Jason Milne, Zacticum, 603, Edmonton Sports Talk, the Nielson Show. Thank you for being a part of this thing today. Of course, Dustin Nielsen calling the WHL Championship. Western Hockey League, Moose Jaw Warriors 2-0 up on the Portland Winarks. He'll continue that series going down to Moose Jaw games 3 and 4 later this week. But in the meantime, it's myself, it's Jason Milne, whom I really appreciate, again, the time, you taking the time to come in and preparing as well a delicious, delicious show. A little later on. This is one for the ages. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good.
We're trying to get it back to good following last night. Hey, 4 posts. What are you going to do, right? You re-rack it and you, right?
Is everybody okay?
I don't know.
Are we okay? Because I think it's okay.
Should be okay.
It's okay. The Oilers have not played remotely close to any semblance of the team they were or can be. The Canucks have I'd say played, decent hockey. Mm-hmm. Yet all 3 games thus far have been 1-goal games or, tight affairs. I would say maybe we should all just calmly and coolly just take a deep breath.
You wanted the postseason, you got the postseason. And this is part of the postseason, right? I do feel, though, that Oiler fan, and the Nasty Chat is lit up already, as you are on YouTube. But I do get the sense that Oiler fan is sitting there staring off, okay, and just paint the picture, staring off, maybe leaning against a pole or something and staring, going, yeah, Skinner, yeah, but it'll be fine, Yeah, the ref's the fishing, yeah, but it'll be fine. Yeah, this, but it'll be... And it's this trying to convince each other and ourselves that it's all going to be fine, and it just might. It's 3 games in. But like coming off game 1, you're now heading into a game 4 that is and I told the boys on the Bear this morning, a lowercase must win. I mean, you can't go back to Vancouver down...
I think it's an uppercase. I think it's caps lock.
You're uppercasing this one.
Yeah, 100%.
Mathematically, they don't have to win, which
no,
would
they
be my
don't.
definition of that. However, against this team, which again, and I know we're not going back to the regular season, but you have the 1 overtime victory against. I wouldn't be liking going down to Vancouver 3-1. So maybe I do, by the end of the show, Jay, elevate my cases, and it's an uppercase must-win tomorrow. But we have a Game 2 breakdown, and we'll be doing that. Once again, as I mentioned, the Nasty Chat is humming. You can check us out there, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and the TuneIn Radio apps as well. And the Paris Jewelers inbox this morning. And I want to let you know as well, with Dustin away, hey, Valentine's Day is around the corner, but they have other things as well. Mother's Day, of course, was this past weekend. If you forgot, that's okay. I think if you go in there today, you don't have to pay. And you could also go in there and say you were like wanting to get your mom or your a wife, a mom, some mom in your life there. But you forget, you go to Paris Jewelers and they'll have the trinket or the item that says, hey, sorry, I may have forgot since it's a game day, but here's this expensive piece of jewelry. Please don't hate me. So if you are still looking for something for the mom or a mother in your life, Paris Jewelers is the place to go. Family owned and operated, 22 stores, 4 provinces across Canada, large, high-quality selection, engagement rings, lab-created, great prices, Star Wars, Marvel wedding bands. You can shop in store or online, www.parisjewelers.com. We do have a jingle for that, Zach. No? I'm putting you on the spot, and I don't care because you are doing the Lord's work this morning. Dustin takes all the equipment with him. Jay can't even conch, which I know you love doing when you get in here in the morning.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. I said to my wife as I left, I'm so looking forward to a conch.
Yeah, you're the drinking bird type of thing, and it's just. But Zach's got it all, and Zach, you don't have to look for it. It's fine. I just.
Okay. I was looking for it.
I wanted you to dance. If you wanted to look for, if you find it. And you want to play it before the end of the show, you have at it, man. But Zach's driving this vehicle this morning. Anything you may want to hear, text in Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. And perhaps, Zach, with all of the other things that he's doing this morning, because it's going to be a busy show, you're going to be riding faders, man. And be DJ Zactum by the end of the thing.
Hey, I'm all here for it, man.
You're here for it. If you
here
need
for
anything from Zach, though, conscious, didgeridoos or otherwise, he is your man today. He is holding it down. And we're lucky to have him. But once again, Dustin Nielson out, WHL Championship. Oilers Canucks last night. Edmonton dropping it 4-3, your final. Got a lot of stuff to get to, including that game, which we will have for you in the morning after show coming up here around mid-hour here in your 6 o'clock hour. So if you have any conch requests, get them in. We're doing the morning announcements right now. Just a quick dive around everything else happening in the sporting world. Yes, other things were happening yesterday and the weekend as well. Morning after show brought to you by EM Utility Locating. As I mentioned, smack dab in the middle of this hour, we'll take a forensic audit of last night's loss to the Canucks, in which the Oilers peppered Arturs Silovs, 45 shots to Vancouver's 18 in a Game 3 loss. Good, bad, and ugly from the weekend. That's coming up. It'll round out the opening hour at around 6:40, 6:45. Hour 2 starts off. TSN's Darren Dreger, our Monday morning hockey insider. He'll be more thoughts on the Oilers-Canucks series and elsewhere around the NHL. Cool Bet Canada hotline of the day. I know Jay will be doing his best to maybe lean, maybe a sprinkle, maybe some of the sort of betting descriptor that you would like to lay down. Probably hockey, hey? But what do you?
All I got to say is Rip City Step. This one's for you, buddy.
Oh, my goodness.
So that means not hockey.
Not hockey, not baseball. We might be going to the hardcore. NBA playoffs as well continue. We'll touch on that.
Ding.
Probably the crown jewel of today's show, the segment that resides right smack dab in the middle of the program. That's good for the Italian Center shop. Dustin said, I will be away Monday. You have a very special mission. I accepted the mission, and I found myself at Italian Center Shop yesterday, picking up a huge box of food. And we'll leave some breadcrumbs leading into the segment, but it's going to be a good one. And Jay, I'm very thankful that you, of all people, are here today to kind of take us through this, because you had the proper questions this morning. Has this been pre-cooked? Is this that? And I know that I'm in good hands with this. That's good segment, but
I think it's going to be okay.
It's going to be
okay.
It's going to be delicious, and we'll be eating like kings here, Zach.
I believe we're eating it. Well, we can't say. What? No.
Well,
Wait.
It's a handheld.
It's a handheld.
Handheld, delicious. But more on that. That's good. 7:45. Brought to you by our friends at the Italian Center. Kind of easy trivia, right?
Got it.
Jason's in the chair. He'll be asking the questions this morning. So if you want to head off to Mr. Mike's, probably going to be an easy affair with old Jason Milne at around 8:05. So kind of easy trivia. 3 questions too many as well for Park Mazda. Ryan Rishaug, our own resident golf simulator and TSN bureau chief. He'll be joining us around 8:30 this morning as well. And, of course, from the Got Your Back podcast, we'll wrap things up at around 8:45 with the wrap, brought to you by William Huff. So get your text in, 780-218-9999 to that Paris Jewelers inbox, and she'll let you know as well. Best text today will win the A&W Text of the Day. Shake up your coffee order with A&W's new iced cold brew and iced latte. An iced little pick-me-up year-round. When it's 20 degrees out, they'll perfect to take with you wherever you're going. Sunny walk in the park. Try the new ice cold brew and ice latte for yourself at participating A&W Brew Bar locations. Once again, A&W Text of the Day, $20 for that. So get your text in to the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. So here we are. Once again, morning after show coming up. I'm going to want to get into these morning announcements. I want to talk about the rest. I want to get all the Blue Jays and the NBA. We want to get all this out so we can finally get into this game. But you said this morning everything's fine. Like we have a game.
No,
coming
not
up.
everything fine. No.
It's but things can be. It's like Skinner had a bad night. But
I'm clearly on my own with this, judging by the nasty chat in the Paris Jewelers inbox.
Where do you start? I guess. What's your first level of concern?
We start with a very concerning message that came into the Paris Jewelers inbox from Looney Len. And I think we can, after this comes out and is brought to light, I think we can all move on. But I have a confession or need advice or something. My family bought me a Skinner home game jersey for my birthday. I've worn it 3 times now, including last night at the game. They have lost each game. I've worn it to the Vancouver Canucks. It's a beautiful jersey, and he is my favorite player. But I'm not sure my next step. He's asking for a conch for this thing.
Zach, look at that.
There.
We are falling backwards, eyes closed into your arms this morning, Zach, and we very much expect you to catch us. And you will be. You will be catching us, won't you?
Yeah. You guys can trust me the whole way through.
We knew it. We knew it. Hey, but problem solved.
But that's in that okay, well, and we're hoping
the Skinner curse is done. The jersey has been conched. There
totally
we go.
Rinsed, and VR Montenegro chimes in. Pickup man, more like cough it up man. Fogel, not the best day at the office, we shall say. I don't know where you rank him on the totem pole of issues right now, though, plaguing this club. Certainly yesterday was one. But I think a lot of other things have been rearing their ugly heads as well. We talked goaltending there and Skinner. Depth scoring is obviously an issue right now. I'm not going to get into the officiating talk. I know a lot of you maybe want to go that way. And look, if you want, I'll hold your hand. I'll take your hand. But I won't be the leadoff man on this. Any thoughts on the guys in stripes last night? I know that you lose. This was a series, and before the puck was dropped, people were already talking about, the official this, whistles in, whistles that. I'm not having it this morning.
You know, our good friend of EST, Luke Gazdick, last night was on the Sportsnet post-game show, and he said it best, because what are you going to do? Are you going to sit here and blame the refs for that?
And you
that
can.
loss?
You
can.
I
but
have
it's not the
situations
right thing
you can say there's reasons, but
sure. I mean, there was a goal that came directly from that the nurse cross-check that was not a cross-check. Ekholm's cross-check. That's not a cross-check. His stick broke. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You can't change the call, I'll tell you that. It was the consistency from the referee, from the officials last night.
Yeah.
That was lacking. It needs to be better, and I'm sure it will get addressed. I wouldn't be surprised if the Oilers come away with a few extra power plays in Game 4, to be honest, because there was the Zadorov hit on Kane. That's not a penalty into the Oilers bench. That's not a penalty. Neither was anything that the Oilers did on the bench. For whatever reason, they called that a roughing penalty, and they knew they had to.
I think Fogel again, kind of, and Perry was trying his damnedest on the other side to be like, "Don't touch a thing." It's like something you drop. If somebody drops glass in the pool or something, just freeze. Like don't take a step. Don't touch anything. Just stay there. Fogel couldn't resist.
He knew that there was something. That maybe
and Kane
he
knew
already
it too,
saw.
and that's the time where you got to kind of. But I mean, again, goaltending, depth scoring issues such as that. 4 posts.
Eric, you just nailed it. Goaltending, depth scoring, right? I mean, you look at this, and I was going to bring it up with Rishaug later, but, 19 of 24 in Game 1, 16 of 19 in Game 2, 11 of 15 in Game 3 for a .755 save percentage. That's not good enough in the regular season, let alone in playoff hockey situations. And Joaquin Gage tweeted out, as he said, on 2 guys and a goalie. If Stu Skinner is not playing at the top player, the Oilers' best player throughout the playoffs run, they're not going to go that far.
I think a line that I'm paraphrasing, he may not necessarily win you a cup, but he certainly could lose you a chance at a cup. And I think that's maybe kind of what we're seeing right now. Lots of ice time as well for the 3-headed, 4-headed monster of the Oilers offense, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think a lot of those numbers in terms of time on ice will be sustainable as well moving forward. But more on that. Once again, the EM Utility Locating Morning After Show will be coming up here momentarily. Just want to whip around and give everything else its due in the sporting world from the weekend. Brought to you by 100.3 The Bear. UConn, I think, riding solo this morning. McCord probably getting into the brown liquor and celebrating that Canucks win a little too much, knowing him and his household. But tune in. Duke's taking you through the mornings. Jess Jackson as well through the afternoon. Huge friend of the show and EST. So give the good people at the Bear a little love as well. Jays falling yesterday 5-1 to the Twins. Taking one on Saturday 10-8, but losing the opener Friday as well. Another series loss from the Jays. I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. And then Jason Milne, probably more of an atmosphere to which you might be going for Coolbeck Canada Hotline of the day. But the Nuggets evening that series after I last week confidently called Minnesota sweeping them aside now that they're taking 2 in Denver and going home. But here we are. Best of 3 right now between Denver and Minnesota. And the Pacers, meanwhile, also evening that series with the Knicks at 2 games apiece with a 121-89 victory. So, pair of games in the NBA postseason later today. Celtics Cavaliers. Boston will look to go 3-1 up. And Dallas also take a 2-1 lead into their home game with the OKC Thunder. Both those games going tonight. Of course, elsewhere in the Stanley Cup playoffs yesterday, the Florida Panthers. And what did you chime in with, Zach? Boston early on, I mean, got out ahead. It was great. And then Florida just using the rest of the minutes, as hockey games do kind of tend to go a little longer, 2 more periods and everything to get the win. But 41-18 shots for Florida. Panthers grabbed that 3-2 win. They rally, pushing the Bruins to the brink with that Game 4 victory now. Are we fully in Sunrise? Going back there, it's going to be tough. Maybe they'll get the Rats out, hey, for that elimination game. You were keeping an eye on that one, Zach. What did you think of that?
Well, it was a good game, hard-fought game on both sides. I think Boston is a pretty decent team, but the Florida Panthers are just better. They deserve to win this series. They lost, I guess, game 1. Won 3 straight now? 3 straight now. So
taking care of the Lightning as well, and
I feel like they're on the way to make it into the 3rd round, and I got them going to the final. I do. I got them going to the final.
Produce the bracket that has them in the final. Show me the proof. This is the best time, is when you're kind of exiting the 2nd round, entering the 3rd.
I called this.
And it was so long ago. Well, I don't know. I had them in the thing. No, and you make good points there as well, Zach. But the Bruins, I don't know. That the emotional series in the Leafs, and you get that, and maybe, and again, center depth and all those good things, but maybe the pixie dust is running out for the Boston Bruins. But we'll see. Florida Panthers now having the brink. And, of course, always, as we said, the Oilers-Canucks game last night. We'll be taking a deep dive into that coming up with your EM Utility Locating Morning After Show. And let's just crack right into this bad boy and get it going right now. 4-3 Canucks over the Oilers. 45-18 are the shots. Edmonton way out in front of this one, but of course the story last night. And again, we're talking Stuart Skinner, but flowers for the man on the other side in the other crease, and Arturs Silovs. And I had this niggling feeling, coupled with my perfect bracket heading into this round, that you're getting this goalie that people have heard of him. We obviously know he's got the world championship, but a guy with not a large resume heading into this. And what did we see last year as well with a guy named Adin Hill? And it just, that's the playoffs, and it's a little magic sometimes. But I think Oilers fans as well, turning it around with Stuart Skinner, why not us too? Why not? And Skinner now, I know Pickard started the 3rd, and I think there's a few hot shots to have him. You got to go back to Skinner. You got to go with the guy that you claim and say that you've wanted to take you where you need to go. But Silovs last night, I mean, there was a point midway through, you're confidently looking, and he's not really letting anything else past him, albeit a mistake or something such as that nature. Dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, to face 45 shots from that squad,
That group,
to shut down Leon Draisaitl from close range, and yes, 4 posts, but that's all that was available, I guess, is what they would say. Silovs was a name that I had to practice because I figured throughout the morning and interviews today, we're going to be saying Arturs Silovs quite a few times.
You were telling me, too, you would actually stare in the mirror while you sit.
Yes, just to see the phonetics. Yeah, so, but well-deserved. I mean, he's outplaying Stuart Skinner by a mile. But, another major factor, and you saw exactly, everybody here saw what happened at the end of that game. The physical play of the Vancouver Canucks is driving this series. Cross-checking, slashing, it's called playoff hockey. Anybody at Rogers Place heard of it? Because you might want to pull that one out and start using that angle. The physical play of Calgary was just dominating the Oilers.
Vancouver. You're thinking of Zadorov. You're thinking of Zadorov.
Sorry,
I know how that.
I know. Yeah. Freudian slip. Sorry.
Yeah.
But even at the end of the game, like Zadorov to come in and that cross check on McDavid, that's just ugly, and that's not only the star player of the Oilers, that's the best player, one of the best players in the NHL, getting that kind of treatment. Wake up. That should be a wake up. Why was there no massive scrum? I don't care about next game. Take a suspension. Who cares? Draw somebody in with you. They're going to have to take somebody else. But for the whole Oilers squad to essentially do nothing, and your star player, your captain, Connor McDavid, is getting two-handed cross-checked both ways right in front of you at the end of the game, it's unacceptable. And if that's the response, and there's no kickback, there's no fight back, then see you later. This series is over.
From a psychological point of view, and I'm watching this thing. We've all seen it, I think. End of game, the Susie chip in the face, the crowd. It looks like McDavid's body is going through a pinball machine of sorts. You're hitting the pegs and the posts, and you just kind of like slither down. His body just kind of slithers down after those 2 hits.
He popped up right away.
He was pissed, and he was, and I mean Susie too. I think Susie's probably taking one for the team, understandably knowing that he'll have to pay a little chunk of change today, or even maybe sit out a game. I don't know. What do you think, Nasties? Nasty chat, Paris Jewelers inbox. What should be the punishment due this morning for Carson Sousa, or maybe the Canucks as a whole? Maybe you want to go with the whole team. Maybe you want to talk it in there as well. And I jest, but no, I mean they're going to do it, and they don't care. And Zadorov as well. The barbs before the game, the nothing to do in Edmonton. Like, it's just they've got this NWO Hollywood feel about them right now, and of course we all know the drip that comes off that attitude. I don't know. I think when you're doing that nuclear option, and I mentioned the time on ice with a lot of the big guys here, and at the end of the game you're just kind of putting them through a pinball machine like that. It is not a good look. But nonetheless, we'll await today, and maybe probably more with Darren Dreger this morning on any type of what should we see from a Carson Sousa, what type of degree of phone call. Of course, when dealing with the NHL Department of Player Safety, I don't know if you have a couple of dice at home, roll them. If you couple darts, throw them against the wall, see what happens. I mean, there's no real rhyme or reason to anything. We mentioned consistency in officiating, much of the same when they hand down punishment or lack thereof. But your EM Utility Locating Morning After Show, brought to you by EMUtilityLocating.com. Dusty's been kind enough once again to leave me with some words on our beautiful sponsors this morning, and I just want to make sure I'm bringing up the perfect one here. 780-222-9497, www.emutilitylocating.com, GPR and concrete scanning, damage prevention, planning, design, education, and training. Check them out today. I think, again, to paraphrase, don't kill yourself. That's what Dustin always says. It's the unofficial tagline now for emutilitylocating.com. But outside of McDavid getting pinballed around post-game, Jason Milne, the big moment for you from last night's hockey game was
moments by Arturs Silovs.
That's fair, and you can take a few.
Essentially shutting the door, closing the door on that high-powered offense. I mean, the offense, the shots were there. 45 shots. That is an outburst of offensive shots, and I mean, what can you say? You're running into a goalie that's playing hot, and I know Oilers fans have the throwback to last year with the Vegas Golden Knights and one Aiden Hill, like you said, and yeah, I think now in round one. Okay, when the Oilers were playing the Kings, and the Kings were obviously outmatched. I believe it was in Game 2 when Game 1 or Game 2. The Oilers were up, I think, 4-1, and then the Kings started coming back.
Yep.
You know how they came back? They started putting traffic in front of the net, started sending pucks on net, not depending on grade A scoring chances, but rather just taking what your opponent's giving you. Get pucks near and around Arturs Silovs, because everything, for the most part, that has been put on him, he's seeing.
Yep.
Create some congestion. Create some, Corey Perry-like, Zach Hyman-like situations where people are banging around. There were a couple of those last night. But
with those names you just mentioned, I'm expecting more sandpaper in that.
Sandpaper,
that
grit, absolutely. And that's, that's playoff hockey. Those are the goals that you're going to need to score in playoff series, and start creating some confusion around the net for Arturs Silovs, because as of right now, it doesn't seem like, the high percentage, like it's a grade A scoring chances are working. He seems to be having a handle on those. But go back to the basics. Pucks on net, guys in front of the net, banging away. And I think that's maybe how you can get this goalie off his game.
There are times, and he's not flopping around out there, but there are times where he gets a little busy, and again, he's young, and the experience isn't necessarily pages and pages full. So I do think there are times, and you mentioned, Jay, to kind of get him scrambling, get him thinking on his feet rather quick. You can have all the shots in the world, and that's great. I don't know the high danger chances and how much Vancouver's been doing a great job all this postseason, opening round against Nashville as well, but making their opportunities count. And for the Oilers, again, 45 shots on net last night, and Silovs making some outstanding saves. But I just do find it funny, depending on which camp and which colors you wear, the attitude coming out of that one, because I think Leon Draisaitl, and we do have some post game, I think, from Dry as well. He was talking last night about 4 posts. It's the one that got away. I guess you can make a few examples there, but taking the temperature off the nasty chat in the inbox and certainly Twitter in the post game last night, GCL Diesel post game with Tom Gazzola here in Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm not really getting that attitude now. Draisaitl, yes, he wants to keep things calm and composed and give off the impression that everything's cool. But I even the 4 posts, like I don't know, when a goalie's playing like that on the other end and yours isn't really giving you too much faith, it's tough. And then we'll talk about the lack of depth scoring as well in a minute. Some of these big horses are logging. Of course, Foegele, a few turnovers as well, didn't have probably the best game of his career. The big moment for me that happened as well, just a few various saves from Silovs, pretty much as well when the time expired in the third period, and he made an outstanding one. I don't even think it would have counted, but it just goes to show that the work and the effort that he was putting in last night, and that's gotten this Canucks team to where it needs to go. So third stringer, if that's what his title is, sure, but certainly not playing like that right now. What do we need? Super stat of the night. What do you got last night? I mean, it's
just 42 of 45 saves.
Yeah.
935 save percentage. That is a super stat.
Yeah.
I mean, but don't have such short-term memory here, because not that long ago in a series in the round 1 series, Stuart Skinner stole a game for the Oilers in the 1-0 victory for the Oilers.
Sure.
That goalie's still there. I mean, I guess the vitriol coming towards Stu Skinner. Is it? But keep in mind, like the team in front of him that's playing right now is not playing at all like a team. They're not putting. What would you say out of 10? What would you rank the Oilers' play for the first 3 games of this series?
It's just, and I wonder too. And I said after game 1, you're kind of sleepwalking out of this Kings series, to which I gave the Kings way more credit than a lot of people, and they totally didn't show up for me in thinking that, but I do feel as well, and you'll go back to that Skinner 1-0 shutout. Well, is it so much Is it just him showing up that night and being present, and that's what you need to do to get that against a Kings team? Like, this Canucks team is a little different sauce here. We've seen the toughness, the edge, the physicality, the goaltending. I mean, you can take any pick. Thatcher Demko. I mean, it doesn't matter who they throw out there between the pipes for themselves. We've talked about the defense part of the series, the size and everything. Like, I just think this is a cut above. And as somebody pointed out too, even if they, again, it's 2-1. It's not over yet. But the Oilers get out of the series, then what? Then that's even going to get ratcheted up more. So if Skinner can't handle this right now in 18 shots from a Canuck, like, maybe the Kings were just that crap at the end of the day, for lack of a better term.
The Oilers can only control what the Oilers can do. They cannot control what the Canucks bring.
True.
They cannot control what the Canucks do physically. They can only control their game. Their game needs to become more consistently physical and just generally more consistent. You talked about depth scoring. Do you know there's a guy on the Oilers, his name is Nugent Hopkins? Do you remember that?
I don't.
Do you remember that name?
Know who you're talking about?
Right?
Is he punking me, Zach? What's going on here?
I think I remember that guy. I think I know who he is. Yeah.
Right? I mean, what is the top 3 or top 4 or 5 players on this team cannot deliver night in, night out. Play consistent and tougher. And this is not even a remotely close series. And think of that. The Oilers have not even come close to playing. I would say they're at 50% in the first 3 games as to their capabilities.
Sure.
Right?
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom. But they're still in a tight series, and it's only 2-1. You'd think, given that, you would be down 3-0. But they're still in this series. This series is still young. It is a 7-game series. Last I checked, right, Zach? Can you confirm that?
Seriously,
I can confirm. I can confirm.
But you also said must win.
Yeah, it is.
High caps, yeah.
Yeah, it is. Because they can control that.
Okay.
That is in the hands of the Edmonton Oilers. You can control how physical you are, how much you set the tone, and get your head out of your ass on the bottom 6 and contribute. That seems something.
Can't complain about the refs are outside of your control. You can't unless you're.
I'm not complaining about the refs.
No. I'm just saying from your point of view. You're right there. It's
a waste of time. But I do think that what happened last night was not. And you can look at game 2. The reffing and the missed cross checks and the missed high sticks. The Oilers are as guilty as a lot of those penalties as the Canucks are.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know, but that's
the
true.
reason I bring that up is
the
because
consistency on both sides is. I think
it's a moot point.
Yeah,
you're not gonna. It's not going anywhere. No. So let's put that aside. Control what you can control. Control your aggression. Control. Giving a guy a stick and playing physical, making taps. The lackluster effort that you're seeing in certain instances from players on the bottom 6, Fogle, Ryan
McLeod. I don't forgetting his name is fine because I think most people have, and he's getting lit up in the nasty chat as well, with being pretty much invisible so far this postseason. Skinner's getting lit up. Freddie Papernick, I see you. How you doing, Freddie Pap? 4 goals on 15 shots. It's not like there's a lot of that, and I think coming out of last night's game. I mean, if there was one issue plaguing this team right now, and you could say, okay, well, this is a headache. They got to fix this. Okay, I trust so and so will go in there and they'll look at this and that, and they'll. But I think right now, and in lack of a better term, death by 1,000 cuts. You're getting these pings from all over. If it's goaltending or if it's depth scoring, now you're looking at now Draisaitl's on the top line. And it all seems like all these things that you think are rinsed out from a trade deadline or from this or that or a string of a couple of good performances or a streak. It's all getting undone, and we're all like snapping out of it, coming off the high and all touching grass today and being like, wow, this is how it was the whole time. We knew this. But we've kind of convinced ourselves that it's not. And I also asked you too, Jason Milne, this morning, that how much, given what you just said about the Oilers and them needing to be tough, how many flowers are you just giving to the Canucks for being that much tougher, that much better in the goaltending department, that much more well-rounded, shall we say? I mean, the contributions again, that third line. Again, Luke Gazdic doesn't like calling them that either. Third-string goaltender, third line. I mean, all these thirds are kind of hurting the Oilers right now. And I just think that I will sit here and give the Canucks some credit. I'm not going to say that this is the perfect Oilers team, and I know there's warts, and we're talking about Kenny Holland in the offseason already. I think a little too soon. But we're going that direction because a lot of things weren't pacified at the trade deadline or prior or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, everything you're saying and the flowers you're giving to Vancouver are all effort related. That's it.
Yep.
The Vancouver Canucks
Credit
have
to
come
them.
out and have wanted it more and have harassed the Oilers. Zadorov is the big bad guy, and I love that role for
And
him.
he's
Playing it well.
That's
he's
what he
a
does.
monstrous guy, and he took control and made some things happen last night in that game. He may not be the biggest offensive threat, but when you have that guy that Kane is clearly intimidated by, that's a check mark for the Canucks. And it seems down the lineup, or up the lineup in this case, that they have guys that are constantly nagging, constantly harassing,
Yep.
putting sticks on guys. The little things that are just repetitive, that in a playoff series, a 7-game series, at the end of that might make a difference. But like I said, I'll go back to what we kind of alluded to earlier. The sky is not falling. The Oilers have not put together one relatively whole game at all, different parts
All
of their
year.
game.
I
mean, if you want to go there, sure.
But another example of things we've talked about in the past that are now kind of creeping up again and bubbling
But they've
back
been
up
good.
under the
But you
surface.
cannot then fall
Streaky
on that.
team.
I know, but you cannot fall on that sword now. That is who.
No,
That is who the Edmonton Oilers are.
We're here,
Take
yeah.
it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yes, they're inconsistent at times. Yes, their bottom six is lackluster. This team is driven by their top players. That's the nuts and bolts of the Oilers. If you'd like that, then wrap your head around it and say, if we can be consistently more physical and match the physical, this should be fine. But that's who the Oilers are. Nobody's
But
trying
not
to
a
change
recipe,
that.
not a recipe to win a cup though, or for a sustained run. You would say it could happen, but I'd much rather go into something where I have more for sure's instead of just hopefully if we.
Hey, at this point, you're going with who you brought to the dance.
Absolutely. No, there's no change in that now. But I think, again, the pitchforks are out now with how we got to this point. And I think there's always trolls waiting to kind of do that, but that's fine. And we'll wrap up here the morning after show here. I got a couple of texts. Morning, gentlemen. The 2 turnovers that ended up goals for Vancouver were the killers for the Oilers last night. That comes in from Rob. And then we had another one here. Barry. Many people said the only way the Canucks win this series is if the Oilers beat themselves. Guess what's happened? 2 of the 3 games so far, the Oilers have beat themselves. Very astute point, Barry. And perhaps we just hold up a mirror, right? Perhaps for the whole morning after show, we just sort of had to hold up a mirror to this team and say, this is the issue right here. You're the problem after all.
Well, it's always easiest to point fingers after a
we're
game
pointing.
like that, and we're absolutely pointing. You should see Zach behind the camera. His fingers are just buzzing
Can't
around
stop
right
those
now.
fingers.
He can't stop.
He's doing this. He keeps doing this. I don't know what this means. This is sort of, yeah.
Show's over.
Well, again, the morning after show will take precedence during the whole Nielson show this morning. Of course, we are on the air here 6 to 9. Hangout coming up afterwards. They will take an even more relaxed dive into last night's game. But your thoughts, opinions, and everything, we'll get through this together like we do. Hasn't been the first time we've been here. Probably won't be the last. But 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat on YouTube as well. We got your good, bad, and ugly coming up just after the break. We'll have a sports update here from Jay Milne, brought to you by Green Plan. Good, bad, and ugly to round out the first hour. And then we got TSN's Darren Dreger to kick off hour number 2. Lieutenant Eric in for Dustin Nielsen, Jason Milne, Zactigam behind the monitors, and a sports update brought to you by Green Plan.
In the NHL, the Oilers drop a 4-3 decision to the Canucks as they go down in the series 2-1. Arturs Silovs stopped 42 of 45 shots, and Brock Boeser chipped in 2 goals en route to the victory. Game 4 goes Tuesday night from Rogers Place. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Panthers continue their dominance in Boston as they take the victory 3-2 and now have a 3-1 series lead. Tonight, the Rangers look to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final as they host Carolina in Game 5, and the Avalanche look to even things up with the Stars in what has turned out to quite the series. Puck drop at 7:30. In the NBA, Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets even up the series with the Timberwolves. And the Pacers also tie up their series as they secure a 121-89 drubbing of the shorthanded New York Knicks. And even though they had a 3% chance, the Atlanta Hawks have won the NBA draft lottery. The Elks kicked off the 2024 campaign as they, as well as all the other teams in the CFL, opened up their training camps over the weekend. A reminder that Elks Fan Day is coming this Saturday, May 18th, down at Commonwealth Stadium. This sports update has been brought to you by Green Plan, providing you with award-winning environmental planning and consulting services. Whether it's municipal, industrial, or residential, plan it right with Green Plan. Visit greenplan.com or give them a call at 780-455-4292.
Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
.641. It is 10 degrees at 641 Edmonton area. Looking to get up to a high of around 15 today, 19. And a little bit of rain, hopefully, perhaps. Could get a little wet out there. Pretty warm, dropping down to 9 later this evening. And a pretty good week, with more chances of showers to come later on the week. It's Lieutenant Eric in for Dustin Nielson, Jason Milne, Zachtigam behind the monitors as well. Jay Milne, you know him from the Hangout. You know him as Glue Guy. You know him from a lot of station events here in our Edmonton Sports Talk existence. But another show that you'll be taking part in this summer, and you mentioned in the sports update, another team in this city kicking off training camp. But you alongside Matthew Iwanek, the logos are out, the times are out, and Fan Day this Saturday. Down at Commonwealth and area.
Yes.
Feeling good? You ready to go?
Feeling excited. Yeah, it's I've been a Eskimos / Elks fan since I was like many Edmontonians since I was a little guy, and to be able to cover the team, call the pre and post with Maddie is honestly, it's a dream come true.
And football's your forte. Like you're
football's my forte.
Man.
Absolutely. You can blast me all you want about hockey on the Nasty Chat. I really, it's a secondary sport for me, so forgive me. But yeah, football's where I. That's where my hat sits for sure. So no, we're looking forward to it. We're going to be down there for a couple hours. We're going to be interviewing. New numbers of players, so it's going to be fun. Come out, and if you haven't been to an Elks Fan Day, come out. Bring your kids. It is a cool experience. It's just neat to see such massive humans at such a close shot. But no, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be we're going to be broadcasting from Century Casino, the sports lounge at Century Casino, hopping on the LRT, heading down to the game. So what a great setup. I mean, I know you're familiar with Century Casino. I
like walking to the games, but I'll have to make my way out to the casino a few times to see you guys and take that sloppy old train down to the
why not?
To the stadium. I mean, that's a day. I like
Maddie
that.
and I were talking about it, and you really think, okay, we hop in a car and drive down there. I think taking the LRT might be quicker. It's certainly easier.
There's a romanticism to it. Getting on the train with your buds and just kind of going down. I wouldn't mind if you could send the Central Casino bus to pick me up at my house on the West End, drive me all the way on the North Henday, all the way to Central Casino there, and then I can take the train with you guys and it'd be perfect. 780-218-9999 or in the Nasty Chat as well. You're all electric and you're fired up today and we love it. And again, the game will be taking precedence this morning. We'll be taking all sorts of dives, breaking that thing down to you, slicing it up however you like. But get your thoughts and opinions in. $20 to A&W via text of the day this morning, 780-218-9999, or in the Nasty Chat as well. Hit the likes, hit the subs, and we'll see what we can do today. It's time for the good, bad, and the ugly from the weekend, a chance to kind of let this thing breathe a bit, maybe look at other aspects of the weekend that were either good, bad, or ugly. And I know a few of you probably the ugly case. We don't need to draw anything too much until from pretty much last night. That was your ugly. But we'll start with the good as we usually do, and I'll go with the good right here, baby. We were all somewhere Saturday after. The smoke didn't let us down. Like, it was smoky, but it didn't stop the nasties from coming out. We had our Birdie Booze launch this past Saturday afternoon. Birch and Bear Pizza, Jasper Avenue. Big thank you to them for setting that place up there. It was looking really good. I know I've walked past that little area, Jasper, countless hundreds of times, but never did I think you could kind of set it up for that type of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was...
food trucks around there. It was a nice little cordon off. The cement barriers were just high enough that you could jump. I tried getting in that way, and Matt says, no,
I was there.
you got to go in, you're going on. I said, settle down, man, it's a joke. And
He
I
was
think
not
he had a few
happy
drinks
with you.
and loosened up, But
No, he didn't. He didn't. He's just
Classic.
like that.
But I want to thank everybody for having us out. I mean, Strat Spirits as well, Strathcona Spirits. All the staff there, they were great. Everybody was on high alert and serving everything. Just a nice time, a nice time. Everybody shows up for a particular reason, and everybody's smiling. Again, the smoke didn't get anybody down. I still have my food voucher.
Oh,
I never got around to getting to
I
the.
coulda used that.
I posted up at the bar mainly, but that's my good. I think probably a communal good. I know Zach. I don't know if you hear about this. Zach shut it down. He was there till like the sun was down. I mean, we were only scheduled there to 1 to 5.
Yeah, I was there until like 6. I was one of the
he was
first people
vacuuming
there. I
after
was,
the- yeah.
I was
You
I was
planted a
basically
tree
a part of the
afterwards.
staff.
Yeah.
Within the cement barricade, I thought a tree would be nice there, so I took a sapling and
Zach's
yeah,
tree.
totally, yeah. Put my name on it and everything. No, everyone was great. Meeting Josh, Schmitty was there, of course. Glue Guy was. Everybody was there. Whole EST crew, and saw a bunch of the nasties. So it was nice to see all of them. Played a round of cornhole. Trev and I as teammates against
who won?
Brother Morgs.
Oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
lost. We lost. We were up. I think 11-1, 11-4 or something, and then lost
comeback.
21.
What a collapse.
14. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
You guys lost yourself at a certain point. The attention kind of.
Yeah. Hey, we were there. We're in the game, but I missed a couple shots, and I blame it on the wind. Blame it on the wind.
The wind, not the
wind.
smoke. Look at that. I love it. No, I mean, so that I would assume that's. Do you have anywhere else? I know you had some sporting situations in your personal life, your children and everything.
Yes,
winning big,
I had to. I came in between games of my daughter's basketball tournament, of which they ended up taking the gold. So congrats to the Southwest Mambas U13 girls team on taking down the Rocky Mountain Hoops gold Division I trophy.
In modern day sports, with teams like buying other teams from other sports and everything, it's safe to say we can kind of like absorb this. Is like an EST branch unofficially.
Yes.
No money exchanging hands. No nothing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But they win. It's a win for
We
us.
win.
Yeah, exactly.
We win. It's one of the only times in this studio, as Tom Gazzola would say, that we can actually say we. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid.
Where's the wrench?
You say we. Tommy the wrench. But I must say, that was funny to see because the event was from 1 to 5. It was scheduled from 1 to 5.
Yeah.
And Dusty, God bless Dusty. He's out of town. He's working the WHL series, but he's still trying to keep a pulse on. And you
he's
could tell.
tiptoed.
You
I
could
know.
tell. He was a little jelly that he wasn't there.
Yeah.
He really wanted to be there with the boys, having the birdie bombs, which, by the way, were delightful.
Had one of those too. Yes.
3-to-1 ratio. Those the birdie booze is in. I verified it with my own 2 eyes last night. Went and picked some up at Safeway and Sobeys liquor stores, so they are there. $17.99 and it is a glass bottle.
I know. I've been taken surprised by this. I thought it'd just be, as we do, we're very self-deprecating around here. Yeah, plastic bottle boys, and you kind of, this is glass. This is like high-end. This is like Dr. McGillicuddy stuff. This is something where I'm going to buy a few bottles. I think it'd be a wise move this summer to just have them kind of sitting around. Maybe one for each room of the house in case you need some. Oh, I got a tingle in my throat. Like it's like a medicine.
You know
Friends
what I found?
come over here, have a swallow of this, or a spoonful of that, or.
You know what I found, Eric? I put that thing in the freezer.
Yes.
And then
the science
we actually had a little celebratory shotski last night at the Casa de Milne out at the farm. And yeah, Farm Report, we really got to bring that up. I should have come prepared.
You can
today.
add it with the Cool Bet Canada hotline today too if you want to do. Kind of a mix
Farm
and
Report
match,
right now is to all those hardworking men and ladies that are out in the field seeding right now, maybe rolling. God bless you. Keep going. Weather's looking good.
I cut my lawn yesterday for the first time this season.
Did you?
Just trying to kind of get into.
I wanted to cut. I want to cut my lawn, but my mower's in getting serviced.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you need to service those push ones with the no gas? You gotta
No.
Walking around your
little bit of a
compound.
different. Yeah.
5 hours. It'll
Take you 3 days to mow that.
So good. We're all in agreement then. Our good from the weekend was the birdie booze lunch.
And
it
just
has
a
to be, right?
just a fire hat.
And
The
it's
Birch and
something,
Bear
eh?
pizza. That is
Love it. And I
that
got to
is
go there for a
beautiful.
pie because he fed you, right? You got a whole pie.
Oh, I got fed. Trev took some. I offered some up to Tommy, but he said no. You and Trev wanted more, so we chowed down on that, and it was fantastic. Just a regular cheese pizza. The crust is good. It was
Can't go wrong with a
fully
Kevy
cooked.
Mac.
Oh, it
Sometimes
was nice.
that's where it's at. I'm coming for one of those pies. So Birch and Bear Pizza, Birdie Booze Lunch, Sobe Safeway Liquor. You can get it there. Let us know. As Jason Mill mentioned, freezable. It's a great thing. It's going to be a hit of the summer. Don't wait. Get in front of this one. Get the bottles
Freezerable.
today. Freeze.
Not freezable.
Freezerable.
Freezerable.
Yeah. But you're
Freezerable.
not making. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's great stuff. Go get it today. That's our
it's
good.
the best.
Across the board. You're bad from the weekend.
My bad from the weekend. Well, I don't know which. Okay, my bad was. I'm going to go back to the. Heaven forbid me go back to the hockey game last night. The start. I mean, the Oilers start, although they went up 1-0, was quite lackluster. I believe it. Start for this team, especially coming into your first home game of this series. It looked discombobulated, and I don't know if you guys have any takes on that, but they had an early power play that looked, at least for the first line, and then the second
Another
line unit
early
came
power
out.
play, mind you. Like
Another early, and they did capitalize, but I just thought you'd see more coming from that team, given the situation being tied 1-1, the way they won that game too.
You're not
Kinda
seeing
late
the
in
buzz translate from the upper.
Zero buzz translation.
I'd have to agree with you there. In terms of bad, well, and I do like to kind of skate in other places. The Denver Nuggets back in their series with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Bad strictly because I was so hot and horny on a T-Wolves sweep last week that I do believe Jake, Ryan's cousin, Jack, he texted in a swear-laden text, to which he called me a few names, to which I totally accept. But he was right and I was wrong. And boy, was I ever wrong. 2-2 now, that series, T-Wolves and Nuggets. You've poked the bear. You've awakened the giant, Minnesota. We will see what happens now moving forward. That series tied at 2. Also, Pacers and Knicks tied at 2. So my bad was just, I really don't. I make predictions. I really don't care how they turn out, but I will make them. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not making them. I'll make them. Doesn't mean they always have to be right. Ugly from the weekend. I'm also going to go to basketball for this. I'm just going to say it, the Pistons. That was they've dropped teams falling out of the. You have such a terrible season. And it's not like it's a deep draft or anything, but they've dropped out now from 1 to 5 for how many, like 2 consecutive seasons. No team has ever dropped from 1 to 5 in the history of the NBA draft lottery. It's now happened to the Detroit Pistons 2 years in a row. I need to say no more. That's it. Just let that hang there.
That's gotta.
It's ugly.
That is ugly.
I know we don't talk about Pistons b-ball this morning at 6:53, following Game 3, but yeah.
You know what's ugly?
We light a candle.
Is how bad I bit my tongue yesterday. Underneath.
Gross.
Yeah, it's terrible. So in between basketball games, we were going out to get some lunch, and got all the girls there, and we're out and about and feeling frisky. So I went.
Is
and
your
bought
wife
some-
involved in this somehow? Or
No, not like that.
that.
That would be cool. That would be good.
Bites it off. Like,
Yeah, she really ripped into me. We went to the get some gummy candies for the girls, like the sour soothers, the extra large sour soothers.
Yeah.
So I'm back at the basketball courts at the Saville Center, and I'm
having the daddy tax, are you?
yeah. It's applying the dad tax, of course. And I rip into my mouth and my tongue, and immediately it's
Took a big one, eh?
well. Don't forget, it's a sour soother too.
Oh, yeah.
So immediately the sour and the cut and just everything starts mixing. I almost had to leave the gym. My mouth was like bleeding. It was a bad one, and so bad. Like I stuck my tongue out and I said to my wife April, I said, "Can you see any? Like, can you?" And she just goes, "Oh my God!"
It's that thing. Once
Biting
it's,
your tongue,
it
biting
goes.
your cheek is just debilitating, because that's the next thing you feel for the next however many bites. I mean, knock on wood for that good. That's good. We need our cheeks and tongues.
You
and
need to
lips.
get back here today.
I need.
You're cool with letting that
Everything's cool.
on the
I wanted it there instead of
temperatures
there.
scare me. Or is that
No, it'll be heated up.
Okay,
Oh no,
it's
I
just
got
sitting
more
in the-
work to do.
Sitting in the room temperature.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
It's cooked.
I'm
It was
riding
cooked.
with you, man. I'm falling.
I mean, I
backwards
can go
as close.
stuff it back in the fridge.
No. I just.
I'll go put it in the fridge. Hang on.
No, don't. Please.
I
I
have
trust
to.
you. I trust you. Leave it.
Don't make me leave.
But if no, well, that's good. I like the tongue. I would say the tongue is worse. The bleeding is far more. Not to say anything's better. You bite the edge of the cheek, then it swells up, and then you might bite it again. But that tongue, once that gets going, it's unstoppable. Like that thing. There's a lot of
Debilitating.
blood in that piece of your body there. The tongue, I feel bad for you. I'm gonna go with the Pistons. Zach, no ugly for you. You had a fantastic weekend, I assume.
Well, just the smoke a little bit. You know, it
is
didn't. It didn't rain on our parade. It was smoky on the parade a little bit, but it didn't take away from the event over the weekend. And I just hope everyone's okay where the fires are happening for McMurray and BC and everything. I didn't keep fully updated on that, but there's less smoke here in the city of Edmonton. But it is wildfire season now. It's a little bit early, I guess. But hopefully there's rain. There has to be more rain, so I hope it does rain. And the smoke is ugly, but hey, we're here today and we're living. So
You can only play with what's in front of you, right? Or whatever the sports analogy this puppy, but
you only play with what you can control.
Yeah, exactly. That's your good, bad, and ugly this morning. Thank you all for chiming in. I know we're getting a lot of uglies in the nasty chat as well. I've seen Campbell isn't coming back. Quit it. That comes in from Smith TM14. Just kind of a scent or a flavor of how the nasty chat's going this morning. And the Paris Jewelers inbox as well. Once again, $20 on the line for NW with that. Plumber Topher, Zach, if you got that conch ready. Hey, guys, can I get a conch for my oldest boy, Joseph? 4th birthday today. That comes in from Plumber Topher. Love it. And I do think we have some post-game as well. Maybe we'll get to that in the second hour, just kind of in between your Cool Bit Canada hotline of the day, a little bit of a modified Prairie Farm report ahead of That's Good, brought to you by the Italian Center. So anything else you need? If you have any questions as well for Dreger or Rishaug this morning, anything coming out of the game that you would specifically like answered, please feel free to chime in, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat. Skinner cannot get another game at all. That's followed up with sure he can. And is that the debate this morning? Is that where we're going? I didn't think we'd be kind of going. Are we looking at Pickard? We say it ain't so. I not to say that that's a wrong answer, but I would think you just kind of, again, as you kind of said, Jay, go with what's gotten you here and give him the opportunity to prove himself again. But maybe not a lot of you would agree, and you have seen enough. But 780-218-9999 is the number to chime in with. We will step out, I guess. We'll step out now, a little early. Darren Dreger will be joining us around 5 after 7 here for Pro-Am Sports. He's our first guest of the day, so we'll give him some more time, give time for Jay to educate us everything going on in the sports world with a sports update. And we'll talk to you at the end of, after 7 o'clock. Once again, the second hour of the Nielsen Show coming up. Dustin Nielsen gone. Lieutenant Eric, Jason Milne, Zach Gim behind the monitors, and a sports update right now, courtesy our good friends at the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge.
The Oilers drop a 4-3 decision to the Canucks as they go down in the series 2-1. Arturs Silovs stopped 42 of 45 shots, and Brock Boeser chipped in 2 goals en route to the victory. Game 4 goes Tuesday night from Rogers Place in Edmonton. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Panthers continue their dominance in Boston as they take the victory 3-2 and now have a 3-1 series lead. Tonight, the Rangers look to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final as they host Carolina in Game 5. And the Avalanche look to even things up with the Stars in what has turned into quite the series. Puck drops at 7:30. In the NBA, Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets even up the series with the Timberwolves. And the Pacers also tie up their series as they secure a 121-89 drubbing of the shorthanded New York Knicks. And even though they had a 3% chance, the Atlanta Hawks have won the NBA draft lottery. The Elks kicked off the 2024 campaign as they, as well as all the other CFL teams, open up training camps over the weekend. A reminder that Elks Fan Day is coming this Saturday, May 18th, down at Commonwealth Stadium. Sports Update has been brought to you by the Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road. Your home for all of the Oilers playoff action. Don't miss a minute of the Cup run. Catch all the action at Century Sports Casino Sports Bar and Lounge.
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
.701, it is the Nielsen Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as well on YouTube. Kicking off your week. Certainly wish we could have came in here with a better tone to ourselves this morning, but once again, we'll get you through. We've been here before. We know what we're doing, right? This is not unfamiliar ground for us. But we move. We look forward. We recap. We look forward. 10 degrees today. I have 19 later this afternoon. Risk of a shower as well later on in the day. 9 degrees for an evening and overnight low. Of course, Dustin Nielsen on the beat, covering the WHL Championship for TSN, in which the Moose Jaw Warriors, sporting a 2-0 series lead, they head back home for Games 3, which are tomorrow in Moose Jaw. So Dustin Nielsen will be back live on the road from Moose Jaw on the Nielsen Show tomorrow to set up another Oilers game as well. But we will be joined here by TSN's Darren Dreger shortly. It'll be brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Pro-Am Sports, as they are the providers of our hockey insiders and analysts today. We'll be breaking down the Oilers' loss to the Canucks and the bigger picture around the Stanley Cup playoffs. I think also some questions maybe for off-season and teams that are on the outside looking in right now. So Dreger will do his best to accompany us on a hot lap around the league. Mike Smith in the nasty chat as well. And it's one thing to sound off what you want to see. It's another thing to kind of predict what Coach Knobloch and the team might do, and that's what Mike was doing. He maybe doesn't necessarily need Skinner in, but he thinks Knobloch will do that as well. He said if the Oilers have scored enough to be up 3-0, but we've allowed nearly an average of 4 goals against per game, defense and goaltending not nearly good enough. So maybe it is Pickard. Maybe some of you want Pickard. Maybe we'll put out a Twitter poll or a YouTube nasty chat poll to get your say there. But I think Dreger's good to go in the bullpen, and we welcome him in this morning, our hockey insider Darren Dreger, and all of our insiders all season long, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Gear up for game day with Oilers Adidas jersey with on-ice name and number sewing. Visit them today in Edmonton at the corner of 128th Avenue and St. Albert Trail, or online at proamsports.ca. And perhaps you go see the Cooks and Boys today, coming off the heels of a loss. You need a new jersey, you need a new cap, you need new socks, you need the whole new outfit to kind of rinse that game through from your system and get prepped for game 4. So check them out today, proamsports.ca. Good morning, Darren Dreger. Thank you much for your time again this morning. We really appreciate it. I know it's a busy type of time of season as always. We'll dive right into this one. What is it last night? What is it this series, Darren? Death by 1,000 cuts, goaltending, lack of depth scoring, the Rick Tocchet effect. What's that one thing you're kind of zeroing in from last night and the first 3 games of this series? And tell Oiler fans it's going to be okay. Can you?
Yeah. Well, I'll try my best. There are a couple of obvious factors. And when you're identifying factors of any series, aren't we always drawn to what goaltending is going to look like? And then ultimately, who's going to win the special teams battle? And 9 times out of 10, the end of a series, you look back and you go, okay, well, team wasn't good enough on the penalty kill, and therefore big part of the series. And that's kind of how things are developing here. You got to wonder, given the firepower that the Oilers have, there are stretches of periods where you look back and go, geez, we missed a heck of an opportunity. And it feels like that in the third period last night, right? They had the 3 power plays. They weren't able to capitalize. And now all of a sudden you've got that goalie scenario in your head. And it's not just about Stu Skinner clearly having to be better. But did we really think that Arturs Silovs was going to come into the Stanley Cup playoffs and be the deciding element in what is a pretty good series between the Canucks and the Oilers? Still too early for me there's still plenty of game left, plenty of fight left in McDavid and company. But now you bring in coaching into the equation, and it is starting to feel like that pieces of that Vancouver Canucks puzzle are nicely falling into place.
Well, it's fine margins too at this time of year, and it goes without saying, but listening to Leon Draisaitl post-game as well, and he brought up the posts, which is, I mean, I don't think you sit here this morning using it as an excuse, but a reason, and yeah, if half of those go in, I mean, that's, but is it Silovs? What more of it is? Would you more likely be inclined to agree with Draisaitl that, yeah, you know, if they connect on one more power play or get a post in, like, is it that close to what he's alluding to? Obviously, he has to come out there and kind of give that type of impression. And I know fans this morning as well saying, well, you know, a goal here, goal there, but is it really that tight, or do you kind of see, in all the things we've said about the Canucks, coaching included, is it maybe that far out of sight and the score is complementary to the Oilers in a sense? Yeah. Is that even a scenario?
No, I understand what he's saying, and I do appreciate it, but, you know, both teams go through missed opportunities, right? It's not just like there's one set of goalposts and the Oilers are hitting and the Vancouver Canucks aren't. I mean, to advance, to win any game in the Stanley Cup playoffs, that's what it boils down to. And, you know, hitting a post here or there, I don't think that the Edmonton Oilers will look back, depending on how this series goes with Vancouver, and say, well, that was the difference. We didn't get the breaks. There's enough talent with the Oil that they can manufacture their own breaks and chances and levels of creativity and whatnot. I would look more at the start of that hockey. I mean, what was it, 3-1 after the first period? So there's a lot of details that are going to have to be cleaned up, that probably will. And then you also, not making excuses here for Leon Draisaitl even a little bit, but we know he's not healthy. I mean, that's abundantly clear. And in a perfect world, maybe you don't have to play McDavid with Leon Draisaitl, but given, you know, the status of Draisaitl, it almost feels like they're, you know, trying to use 97 as the engine to keep him going. So now all he has to do is kind of think and be in the right spot with Connor.
And still a half an hour of ice time too. And you mentioned in a different role, but I mean, this isn't sustainable at all either, is it?
I don't think so. I'm not sure of the specifics of what's going on there. You guys have probably a better read on that in the market than I do from afar. I was surprised. I know that, you know, the reporting of Ryan Rishaug and others was that they expected that he was going to play the last game. Frankly, I didn't. I just knew that he was in that level of discomfort that there was a strong chance he wasn't going to play. So that's 2 games ago now, right? So obviously it's hard to keep the big bear out of the lineup when he's motivated to play. But obviously Vancouver's going to try and do whatever they can. And for the most part, they did too, right? Maybe we're not talking enough about the matchup game, especially last night, and how the Canucks found a way to essentially neutralize McDavid and Draisaitl and Edmonton's big line.
Well, let's take it a little closer to home for you, Dregs. I know, Sheldon Keefe got fired. There's been tons of speculation on his replacement. Plus, it seems as though the Leafs brass is taking a little bit of a different stance this offseason than opposed to last, maybe a little bit more of a firmer stance. Can you just elaborate on what's going on in the situation with Toronto, the replacement of Sheldon Keefe, and possibly what's going to shake out there in the offseason?
Well, you're bang on in terms of the stance that the Toronto Maple Leafs organization is taking. And that was made emphatically clear by the head of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Keith Pelley, on Friday. I was at their media availability with Pelley and Brendan Shanahan and General Manager Brad Turlevin. And Pelley addressed the assembled media with a statement, essentially, right off the top, just giving his kind of overarching view of where the team is and where he thinks they need to get to. In about a 2-minute span, he used the word win 6-7 times. The sentiment of ownership, win, just win. We're not talking about a round or two in Toronto. We're talking about winning the Stanley Cup. So they fire Sheldon Keefe late last week. Okay, that's a significant move. And I happen to think that Keefe is a good coach. If he wants to coach immediately again, he's going to have that opportunity. He's making that decision now. They needed a scapegoat off the ice, and they get that. And I don't think that there's anyone that should be overly upset that Sheldon Keefe got let go. I mean, when you're part of the amount of disappointment in this market, there's got to be a price that's paid. But it can't stop with the firing of a coach and hiring of a new guy. So, how heavy-handed is Treliving going to be with the roster? And the expectation is, as they talked about, they're going to look at absolutely everything. And that includes guys like Marner, Tavares with their no-move clause. How do you, wrestle with that sort of beast? I don't know. But that has to be the way Treliving and management approaches. So that position is different going into this offseason than it was a year ago, for sure.
TSN's Darren Dreger with us. Nielson Show, Edmonton Sports Talk. Lieutenant Eric Jason Milne in for Dustin Nielsen this morning. Brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Darren, I just want to get back to last night, too, and a two-pronger here. We're talking goaltending as one of the things coming out of last night's game in the series as a whole. Specifically, Stuart Skinner. Silovs, we've seen what he can do. The numbers last night, great. But Skinner, your save percentage is starting with a 7 last night. I would argue that's not good enough to get where you want to be going. So that's the first part of the question. The second part, I would say, the McDavid pinball incident at the end of last night's game, the cross-check to the back, the chop to the chops, Susie Zadorov. Do you see any type of punishment, phone calls, money exchanging hands, given that scenario to end last night's game? So the goaltending specifically from the Oilers' point of view, and any punishment due coming later today.
Well, I look, again, I'm speaking from afar, and this isn't high-quality analysis. It feels to me like Skinner will get another opportunity. If you're going the direction of Pickard as an example here, man, you got to be absolutely certain and convinced that Stu Skinner flat out failed the eye test, right? Could he be better? Yes, of course. Does he need to be better? No question about that. You could say that basically to a man. It's just when it comes down to goaltending, right now Silovs is the better of the goalie scenario in this series. But we've also seen Stu Skinner at times respond, and maybe Chris Knobloch and the coaching staff of the Edmonton Oilers are embracing that sort of theory. But you're running out of runway here. Yeah. So whichever direction you go, you need that level of response from your goaltending. End of game stuff. The Department of Player Safety hasn't officially made a decision yet as to which way they're going here. Could it be a suspension for Carson Soucy? Sure. A fine? Yeah, I think that's the very least likely, just based on the message sending that went into it at that point of the game. Game over. And it's a very dangerous play. The stick is up high. Even though McDavid was kind of falling after the Zadorov cross-check to the back, he still gets the stick to the face. Soucy cross-checks him in the face. I mean, how can that be allowed? Of course it's not allowed. But I can't sit here with any level of authority and say that there will be a hearing, because I know that the plan last night post-game, it was late, was for everybody, including George Peros, the head of Department of Player Safety, sleep on it, reconvene in the morning, and kind of assess the collection of opinions. But if I were betting, I'd say that there's some form of discipline here, at the very least a fine.
I try to expect the unexpected usually, Darren, and sometimes I get what I want, and other times I don't. But I think that's NHL official. You can't predict it. It's what it is. But you can't. We're not using it as an excuse this morning. It's just something out there. But certainly when it comes to the Department of Player Safety, it's just one of those things. Wanted to get your thoughts too, just going around the horn here. Boston getting out of that early yesterday, let one slide. You're going back to Sunrise now, down 3-1. Tough spot. Your thoughts just on that series as well ahead of the two games tonight?
Well, that series had some bite. It's had moments of nastiness for sure, to a point where the head of hockey operations, Colin Campbell, actually went into Boston and further delivered the message to the head coaches and managers of the Panthers and the Boston Bruins. Okay, we do not want to see a repeat performance of what we saw earlier in the series, which lowlighted by a fight between David Pastrnak and Matthew Tkachuk. But there have been hot moments, and one of them actually takes Brad Marchand out of the series, right? So Boston starts game 4. I mean, they drew this up to perfection. Jump out to the 2-0 lead. They're on their way, but they just cannot sustain the pressure of the Florida Panthers. You know, it's just like every time Florida gets pushed into a corner, somebody else emerges. You know, Sam Bennett is public enemy number one for Bruins fans because of the Marchand experience here. But as he proved yesterday, I mean, he's just not a pest or a physical presence. This guy can score big goals. That was a huge goal, which was reviewed for goalie interference and tied the hockey game up at 2. So it looks like Florida's too much. It looks like the New York Rangers are too much for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's going to set up a wild Eastern Conference final when these two teams come head to head in the Florida Panthers and the New York Rangers, because that Ranger team is built to win as well.
Well, and lastly here, taking another glance out west and the other series happening. I mean, the Stars going a mile high, and the big home record that the Avalanche sport and the daunting task it is going all the way up there and playing hockey. But they get it. Ottinger, 28 saves. Your thoughts tonight and kind of how this series has shaken up? If it's met your expectations thus far, albeit 3 games in, but what do you expect tonight and kind of the duration moving forward for what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a huge game for the Colorado Avalanche, right? And I'm not counting them out. You know, I got a real firsthand look at the Avs and different ways they can beat you in that opening series win against the Winnipeg Jets. You know, they can score in bunches, but they're okay keeping things tight as well. And I think that Dallas has done something in this series to this point that Winnipeg was incapable of doing, and that was stopping the Colorado Avalanche on the rush. And, you know, you look at what Pete DeBoer is working with. I mean, he's got elite level goaltending in Jake Ottinger. He's got a rock solid defense. And then their top 9 is as good as any up front. And you've got Dadonov and that group as fourth line. So DeBoer can roll line after line after line after you. And when you have that confidence, especially up front like that, and the group hits their stride, they're tough to handle. This Dallas team is as good as any. You know, Colorado's got the firepower, but as long as Dallas can stay healthy, they're going to be a real difficult out, not just in the Western Conference, but perhaps in the Stanley Cup final there.
Your last couple of points, I don't know if you're talking about that Dallas-Colorado series or perhaps the Oilers and Canucks series as well in terms of the firepower on one side, but then just the well-roundedness on the other. But Darren, we appreciate your time, man. I get back. You're doing an outstanding job. What can people expect in terms of digesting your work? I know the pods are busy on that, but where can we take this time? You got 30 seconds. Pump yourself up here for us.
Oh, geez, I appreciate that. In fact, I've got Ray Ferraro on standby here. We're going to tape another edition of the Rain Dregs podcast in like 3 minutes from now. We're going to kick it off, and he's fired up a little bit about the officiating. Clearly, we're going to talk about the end of game stuff with Zadorov and McDavid and Susie, and I'll get Ray's opinion on that. And we'll spin the wheel of the coaching carousel, right? Berube and Todd McClellan, both in Toronto for interviews with Brad Treliving over the weekend. Sheldon Keefe getting some love from the New Jersey Devils. So, man, we've got a lot of things to tackle in Rain Dregs coming up this morning.
Darren, once again, appreciate the time, man. Go get it and enjoy tonight and the rest of the week. We'll talk next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you.
There you go. That's TSN's Darren Dreger, our hockey insider, every Monday morning when he can. Of course, busy guy, and we appreciate his time as always. Brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Gear up for game day with Oilers Adidas jerseys with on-ice name and number sewing. Get them today. Visit them today in Edmonton, corner 128th Avenue, St. Albert Trail. Or if you don't want to head out of the house today, you can order online, proamsports.ca. You can do all your browsing, add to the cart, empty the cart, do whatever you want with the cart there. But I say this after a loss. Can't stress this enough. It's time to, you know, put the other jersey in the thing. You've been wearing this hat. Yeah, whatever. Go there. Let Pro-Am doctor you back up. They'll strip you down. They'll fix you up. They'll get you all geared up for what you need to kind of get the good graces back in the Oilers heading into Game 4 tomorrow. Pro-Am Sports, proamsports.ca. Jason, what are you pulling out of there? I mean, Dreger, too. I don't think it's any sort of cause for calamity or fright. And he didn't weigh too much into the goal. I think he kind of feels, too, what Knobloch will do, but the Pickard thing is kind of gaining a little steam and momentum both in the nasty chat and the inbox here.
Well, yeah, I mean, because when Pickard has come in during the regular season, he's been quite good.
He's
he's
a good guy in the room.
And you know, Dirty Curdy made a good point in the inbox. He said, starting Pickard in game 3, the team will play harder and hopefully meaner in front of him. Is there a byproduct of having Pickard come in and having that, the team say, okay, guys, we got to pick our game up.
For Stuart.
Yeah.
Like in a set, you're
exactly. So it's like when a coach gets fired mid-season, oh, shoot, this was on us. We better pick up our game.
Looking for a bump.
You're looking for something, anything, any sort of energy, any sort of boost, because as of right now, this is just a lackluster team that the Oilers are putting on the ice.
Yeah, and it's look, I didn't think the Nasty Chat would be this fired up this morning, and it's 2-1 down, and I know tomorrow is going to be a big one, and we'll get into that more, but I think it's just it must just be the style and the thought. Again, I just have coming out of last night's game, I envisioned that one lonely Oiler fan looking off in the distance, thinking like, oh yeah, this is wrong. Yeah, but it'll be fine. This is wrong. He's gone over about 15 to 20. This is wrong. I'll be fines, and by the end of it, I don't think you're going to be fined anymore. So maybe this is more than I would have expected, but I just, you had a hot goalie. I said getting into this series, he'll probably have a game. He had his game. This is the big game. He's going to have another one here in Edmonton, back-to-back, games 3 and 4. Maybe. The Nuggets getting swept, so don't listen to me. But this guy is feeling it right now, and he's got nothing. He's no expectation coming in, no pressure. Conversely, so does Stuart Skinner. Hometown guy, feeling it, having to take this team, not himself, but having to be a main player and a big key and part of its success. Not answering the bell thus far. And you've all been very vocal with that this morning. Nasty Chat, Paris Jewelers Inbox, 780-218-9999. If you could keep one eye for a text of the day, if you see something that kind of,
I'll keep my
crosses
right
you in
eye.
the mouth, like a Carson Soucy, bam, right in the mouth. And you feel free to give her a bookmark here. But we'll have a Coolback Canada hotline of the day as well coming up in a matter of minutes. I think you wanted to go somewhere with this. You got something to play.
I got something cooking.
Maybe a Prairie Farm Report brief if you want. If you want to talk about something happening outside of the city walls, feel free.
Carte blanche.
You are always welcome here. Unsolicited.
Well, I don't know if we can talk about anything right now other than the Oilers without getting completely, kicked. I asked Dreger a question about the Leafs, and oh my God, it was like the world was on fire. Yes, there are other teams out there other than the Edmonton Oilers, but we're not just a sports station. We're Edmonton Sports Talk, so I guess I should have known better. I'll keep it home, closer to home next time.
In related news, I'm really enjoying the hazing of Jason Milne here when you're talking about on the other side of an Oilers playoff game, and I just
it's good. It's great.
You go to the bathroom today. And be like, what did that have to do with the Oilers, huh? You idiot. And you'd be like, well, I just had to go to the bathroom. Well, you should be thinking about the Oilers. But no,
we're thinking about this Pickard.
That's
Skinner.
BB says we got a Pickard game up with a winky face. Coming hard after that A&W. We'll maybe put you in the stable for that.
I think you're the leader in the clubhouse right now.
So
yeah,
and maybe you look at that text and say I got to Pickard my game up here and send in a better one. But come hard after that A&W. $20 to A&W on the line for text of the day this morning. If you got a hot take and it's in the Nasty Chat as well, just package it up, set it in to the inbox, and you can get that A&W.
There seems to be so much vitriol thrown towards McDavid underproducing, Skinner not playing that well. Can somebody please just tell me, where the bottom 9 forwards are for this team?
No, I'll tell you. You want to know?
If you want a real...
Derek Ryan, 7 minutes, 33 seconds. Mattias Janmark, 6 minutes, 18 seconds. He had a shot and a couple of hits. You want me to keep going here? Connor Brown, 8 minutes and 2 seconds. We got a Fogel did not have a good.
Fogel did not shine bright.
Fogel did not. The pickup man was parked illegally. I think he was. We found him. We knocked on the window. We said, "Excuse me, sir, pickup man," and he was asleep inside the cab. Not a good day from Fogel, who's had a contract Fogel season. He's been pretty good. Of course, I was one of the people again proven wrong that wanted him, kind of up there in the top, given the Henrique injury. But yeah, a couple of giveaways yesterday as well, and you add that to the posts. Bing, bang, boom. The Canucks are winning the game 4-3 and up in the series 2-1. But I don't know, taking the temperature this morning, is it just as simple as that? Or is it more? The goaltending, the defense. We've talked about CC and Nurse as well. I don't know if that's such a glaring point of obvious negativity from last night, but there is a few other things taking its spot. If it's not this one night, it's the other thing the other night. Far too many pots boiling right now that you can safely say, okay, we're going to get this all taken care of and controlled. And I usually take a contrarian point of view, but I'm finding a difficult time in saying, yeah, this will be okay, that'll be okay, that'll be okay, and doing that to 30 different pots. I can't confidently go around and say that each of these issues are going to turn out okay.
And, I honestly think that, and, you go back to what we talked about at the start of the show, is the physicality side of things can totally change what the Oilers can control. They were out hit 50-30 last night. 50-30. That is a team that just wants it more. To have 50 hits, you need to have that in your game plan. That needs to be written on the whiteboard before you go out. Come at the Oilers physically. The Oilers need to respond with that, and I think if they can achieve that, that gets those bottom six players moving and going.
A chain reaction of sorts. Yeah,
absolutely, because you have to get more physical. You just can't continue to play and expect to win when you're getting out hit 50-30. That's just effort.
Knobloch completely Woodcrofting himself. No offense generating from bottom nine, so he overplays the top three. Same thing that Woodcroft did. And I do ask, too, and this is a team, too, that we've knocked on this wooden desk multiple times throughout the regular season saying, oh, boy, this injury report, it was only graced by one Brady Stonehouse for the majority of the season, which is actually, you go that long without any type of major injury. It was kind of something else, unbelievable. We now have a Draisaitl that's clearly something maybe bothering him, banged up. You say, okay, well, maybe the thought process there is put him up with McDavid. Don't let him have to have all the responsibility of centering a second line. But as doesn't sign text guy points out, Leon is too hurt to center his own line, then plays 29 minutes on the wing. And maybe again, the what's asked of you and the job description there is a little bit 29 minutes, and he's hurt. I don't make that make sense to me. Please, 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. So it's a rock and a hard place here, where I think, and I would agree with most people, I'd prefer a spine with this team. I'd prefer three strong centers down the middle, and saying to your wingers, hey, this is your job, this is your duty, go out there and perform. If not, you will find somebody that can. They obviously can't most of the time. Then you get scared into doing this and putting him up top there. But if you're doing him up top to just denigrate offense, or you're doing it because he's hurt and you want to shelter, 29 minutes still. So what are we doing? What's the matchup? What's the coaching like? Because again, I think Tocchet, and you mentioned kind of the style the Canucks are playing, I think they're taking on the embodiment of their head coach to a T, and maybe you can argue the Oilers are doing that to a T as well, in a sense that's kind of more of a quiet, passive approach. 780-218-9999. If he's hurt and he's up there, but you're playing him 29 minutes, I'm missing something here.
Well, I don't think he's as hurt as you think it may come across as. But do you want to then see a shakeup in the lines going into Game 4? Is that what you would you like to see Leon move back down?
I wouldn't mind if that's
and
the case.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge.
Yeah, I just and the Henrique thing. The Henrique thing is such a, because this is a guy that you put him in the lineup and there is a bit of flexibility with him, and that was the, I think. And we're not going to get into a trade deadline special today or anything like that. But I think when Henrique was acquired, you said, okay, well, what are maybe I would say the strength of that deal is the fact that you can move him around and there is a flexibility in terms of where you can displace him in the lineup. Him out of there certainly limits your options now. And if Foegele is playing a game like he had last night, certainly that limits your options as to what you're doing on that left side. Whereas Dylan Holloway is your only, McLeod, again, he's not pissing a drop either. I would rather have a spine. I would rather have centers playing where they should be centering. If it's a case where a guy is too banged up to be doing that job and you just want him riding shotgun with McDavid, 29 minutes, I don't know. That's not going to be too easy on his body either, regardless if he's just sitting there at the goal line slapping pucks in. I know one texter said, when's Demko back? Which was also
then what do you do?
A tongue-in-cheek. Well, maybe that's what Oilers fans are secretly wishing for this morning, to kind of get Silovs out of there. But
what do you do, Zach? What's let's say that Demko comes back, he's healthy, he's ready to go. Which some pundits would have said that midway through this series they figured Demko might be game ready. let's say he is. Let's do a situation here that Demko and Silovs are both ready to go. I mean, there's no way you're turning away from Silovs, right?
No, well, the way he's playing right now, unless he has a bad game and Demko is back, you continue to play Silovs. He's played up over expectation. He's playing way larger than himself. And as you alluded to, Eric, third string title. How is he? How he's not playing like a third string goaltender?
It's
And you look
only,
at you look at Stuart Skinner. He is not playing up to snuff whatsoever, and he just needs to play average for the Oilers to have a chance, I think. But he has not played average. He has played well below average, and people are talking about, Pickard and Campbell has been brought up. I don't think he gets a start, but the Canucks, they don't have to really worry. Silovs is there. He's making the stops that he needs to make, and yeah, sure, maybe a couple rebounds here and there are given away, but he's playing fantastic right now. And you can't walk away from a hot goaltender, even if your starter, your all-star goaltender, Thatcher Demko, comes back. There's no way I see the Canucks going away from Silovs starting in net.
Maybe the Oilers can do like an in-series loan. Demko gets better, and then, hey, Silovs, maybe he can... I jest. But no, those are good points there. Brett's chimes in, 780-218-9999. 100% right. I think he just means for all of us, so we'll just all take that as a communal. We're all...
Thanks, Brett.
If the bottom nine doesn't show up, Leon and Connor still might drag them into a 6-7 game series, but forget about the next round. Skinner hasn't been great, but which goals last night were soft? He's got to make a save, but the coverage needs to be better. That comes from Brett. And I think, Brett, this is the type of fence saddling that I'm talking about. Nothing in negative to your point here. But yes, Leon and Connor could drag them out of this series. Skinner could get them, but then what? And then what? And then, is this...
Well, that seems to be the overwhelming sense throughout,
That's the fear, is if you're not good enough today to kind of...
Right, so the everybody's been saying how this is such a different team from last year against Vegas, right? When they fell and they got out goaltended and they didn't have the depth. But unfortunately, for Oilers fans, they're exactly where they were last year at this time against the Vegas Golden Knights, where they're getting out goaltended by an unknown goalie, and they don't have any scoring depth. So, yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Is that the sentiment? And unfortunately, that's just like I said, you got to go to the dance with who you came with, because nothing's changing now. So the Oilers can only control what they can control, which is physicality, which is getting that bottom six going. Maybe a lineup, a shake-up in the lines is necessary. I've seen quite a few different line combinations coming through that would suggest that spine that you mentioned earlier, where you'd have your three top centers playing right down the middle in McDavid, Dry, and Nuge.
In a perfect world. Obviously, if things are right now at a point where they can't do that, I mean, you do whatever, as you say, do what is in front of you and what you have. But Ryan chimes in with this. We've outshot them 63-22 the last four periods. Keep rolling the same lines. Consider a Pickard start. Odds say the wins will pile up. But I mean, I think the numbers, and when we use analytics, we look at those numbers, it would say, yes, okay, well, that's a future predictive. You keep doing this, you keep banging this against the door, it'll eventually fall down. But who's to say it will? Who's to say it ever does? And this series doesn't last for eternity. So, yeah, you've been out shooting them here on a 60-20 clip. But you are also running out of time here. And if you can't get that bottom, what are we saying, bottom six, bottom nine going, it doesn't matter how many shots you have. You're not going to get the quality needed to beat this team and the goalie right now who's red hot. So is it just as simple as a Pickard start and rolling everything back and keeping it the same and hoping it clicks? Or are you looking at getting down there in that bottom nine and shaking a few cages?
I honestly think you go back to Skinner again. I mean, Pickard, you can put him in, and then if he wins, he's your guy going forward.
I think there's
right?
a case to be made for both. And you mentioned
Sure.
the
just the attitude, the change.
In
the desire for the team in front of Pickard.
they'll let Skinner down. They'll want to come the whole
right.
bit.
There is a bit of psychology that happens there, but yeah, I don't know if it's all. I mean, Skinner's save percentages have been subpar. Can absolutely say that. But you cannot. If that same team is playing in front of Pickard, that's been playing the first three games, we're not talking about a goalie, controversy. we're talking about the lackluster play of the team in front of said goalie. So like I said, I don't know if it mattered if it was Skinner or Pickard in games 1, 2, or 3. That Oilers team needs to play better in front of that goalie. And I mean, I'm sorry, but you can just put me on repeat, Mr. Zakhtkum, because I'm going to say it again and again and again and again and again. Physicality, where are you? This is playoff hockey, for goodness sake. Raise the level of physicality. It'll raise the level of play, especially where they need it most, which is that bottom 6.
We're getting thoughts on the deadline additions. You mentioned the physicality. Herb's Hose tends to agree you need Carrick in, Pickard to start, and consider bringing Sam Gagner back in as well. Right now, the Oilers are beating themselves with the same old garbage. Too cute with the puck. D not clearing the zone. Not nearly enough toughness or fight, and that was all capitalized to your point, Jay. He wants Carrick in and also a Pickard start. So the physicality as well, but a change in the crease. We got Easy E in the nasty chat. Knob getting out coached. His only solution is to play Leon Connor 30 minutes a night and watch them get beat up. Optically, talking about numbers and stats, when you read that time and you see how things shake out, it's tough to look away from that. But here is where they're at. And I know a lot of you would have those opinions both pre and post trade deadline. You've been saying it all season long. You've maintained that the Oilers are who you thought they were. And they're not letting themselves off the hook, apparently, if you want to kind of use that old saying. But 7:36, we're a little late here. Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. You got a real quick one here for that?
I'll keep it quick. Yes. So we're going to go to the NBA.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing about Coolbet is that you can make your own bet builder. So you can put together a 2-3 leg parlay, whatever you want. What I had done was I'm going to go back to Boston at Cleveland. This is the same thing that happened in the round 1 against the Heat. Boston went first game, dropped the second game, then came back and blew them out the rest of the 3 games. I think this Boston Celtics team is still the real deal. Yeah. I think they're I think they're going to start rolling here.
Too much.
Celtics to cover the spread, so plus 8.5. And hang on a second here, I screwed it up. So Celtics to cover 8.5 spread, and I'm going to go with the under in that match, and that is a plus 250. So that $100 turns into $250 with that parlay. So that is total points under 206.5. Celtics to cover the 8.5 point spread tonight in the NBA for plus 250. That is my cool bet hotline of the day.
Follow that man to the bank. If Matt usually bets in like $1 or 25 like quarter increments, so he'd be winning. He'd be taking Matty, this is a big one for you. $1.50 on the line.
I told Matty the other day I bet the Celtics, and I texted him. I said Celtics minus 7.5. Book it. And he's like, I don't ever bet the NBA. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, book it. So I think we're going to take this one to the bank tonight.
Matty's got to start listening up here. Maybe it begins tonight. But we thank you for the Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. Can you give us a sports report, and then you'll have to go to the...
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting called to the bullpen.
We're getting into it now, but that's good for the Italian Center Shop. That's coming up next. First, a quick sports update from Jay Milne, courtesy of our good friends at Park Mazda. That's good. Trivia, 3 questions. Ryan Rishaug as well coming up as we take you through the Nielsen Show. Sans Dustin Nielsen, Lieutenant Eric Jason Milne, and Zakhtkum behind the monitors.
The Oilers drop a 4-3 decision to the Canucks as they go down in the series 2-1. Arturs Silovs stopped 42 of 45 shots, and Brock Boeser chipped in 2 goals en route to the victory. Game 4 goes Tuesday night from Rogers Place. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Panthers continued their dominance in Boston as they take the victory 3-2 and now have a 3-1 series lead. Tonight, the Rangers look to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final as they host Carolina in Game 5, and the Avalanche look to even things up with the Stars in what has turned into quite the series. Puck drop at 7:30. In the NBA, Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets even up the series with the Timberwolves, and the Pacers also tie up their series as they secure a 121-89 drubbing of the New York Knicks. And even though they only had a 3% chance, the Atlanta Hawks have won the NBA draft lottery. The Elks kicked off the 2024 campaign as they and all the other CFL teams opened up their training camps over the weekend. A reminder that Elks Fan Day is coming this Saturday, May 18th, down at Commonwealth Stadium. This sports update has been brought to you by the staff at Park Mazda and Mitch Lewicki. Mitch would walk through fire for his daughters. Well, not fire, because it's dangerous, but maybe a super humid room, but not too humid because of his hair.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki in a tuxedo t-shirt because it says, like, he wants to be formal, but he's also here to party too.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
.740, you're listening to The Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and coming to you worldwide, YouTube.com. The Nasty Chat is humming. People are fired up, and so you should be. But what's your level of concern this morning? Nasty Chat, 780-218-9999 is the Paris Jewelers inbox. You can text it in. What are your thoughts? What are your concerns? What are your deep, dark feelings about this series and last night's game? And we'll try to work through it with you this morning. 10 degrees right now, mainly cloudy, looking for a high of 19 this afternoon. Maybe a chance of a shower as well later on this afternoon, and a low of 9 this evening and overnight. Dustin Nielsen, of course, calling the WHL Championship for TSN. It's the Warriors and the Winterhawks, as Moose Jaw took both games 1 and 2 down in Portland. The series shifts back to Moose Jaw. Games 3 and 4 are tomorrow night and Wednesday night. So if the Warriors continue to do what they were doing during games 1 and 2, it could be a quick series. It could be getting Dusty back here sooner or faster than we had thought. But game 3 in that series tomorrow night, Moose Jaw. Dustin Nielsen's got the call on TSN. Of course, the one we're talking about this morning, the Oilers dropping one on home ice. Game 3 last night, 4-3 to the Canucks. Outshooting the Canucks as well, 45-18 in the process. But young Arturs Silovs, the story for Vancouver, as he made 42 saves on 45 shots faced last night. The toughness of the Canucks, the push from the Canucks, the lack of depth scoring, the lack of a goaltending answer or punchback from the Oilers. All of those points have you concerned this morning. Which one is it, though? Which one's the easy fix? I know we had somebody text in, how do you get the bottom 6 or bottom 9 scoring when they're averaging 6 to 7 minutes a night? Chicken egg type of thing. I mean, it does go back farther from just last night. Go up and down the roster. There's a few names that have been MIA, shall we say, throughout the opening round and the early parts of this second round series. So lots of things to look at. Lots of individuals can be looking in the mirror as well. Or maybe you're part of the clan that just says, this is it. This is the Oilers team I've been screaming at you at. I've been texting at you at, mad after every post game this season, even after wins, saying, this isn't sustainable. They did this, but look at this. And nobody wanted to hear you because they were winning. Well, here we are, 780-218-9999 or in the Nasty Chat, because I don't want to, I don't like getting too high when it's great. I don't also like getting too low when it's bad, but I think there is a middle ground, and I think a lot of you would be warning, and you had a lot of premonitions coming out of the trade deadline and saying, hey, a few things maybe weren't fixed or not addressed, shall we say, to the degree that a lot of you wanted them addressed. So whether it's goaltending, whether it's depth, whether it's, I don't know if the defense is probably up there this morning, much as it was after maybe the first couple, but I know one, Carrick's name has been mentioned a lot. Another text flies in, unsigned. If you don't have a name or a handle on the show, please add a name. Be somebody this morning. Why not? You can be an interactive part of this show and the station moving forward. Carrick needs to be an entire team. Carrick needs to be in. Entire team is playing soft. A couple guys need to take care of Zadorov and Soucy. Every time Hughes touches puck, he's getting bodied. And yeah, I would hear you there with the Carrick thing. And I think a bounce back or maybe a shall we say, an answer to the way Zadorov is carrying himself through the series. You saw Soucy's hit, the cross-check to the chops of McDavid, the Zadorov checking him from behind, putting him through that pinball ringer there. But do the Oilers have the people who can answer those bells? Maybe Carrick is the answer, but I mean, Corey Perry, again, we went into this postseason saying, hey, with him and Kane, you've got your sandpaper. You've got the guys that can engage in the dark arts, but also do it in a smart fashion. And I think with Kane getting that hit into the boards last night and his wry smile emerging from the Oilers bench, you do want more of that, but I think now, too, is a time, and a lot of people, for lack of better terms, texting in saying, just run these guys next game. I'm here for the gamesmanship, and I'm here for goading teams who are maybe a little more aggressive. And when you have the power play that the Oilers do sitting in the stable, hit me, punch me in the face, take a penalty, go. I'll take the cuts, I'll take the bruises, I'll take the beat up as long as the PP1 or even the PP2, which you saw last night, as long as that PP in any shape or form gets a chance with the man advantage. But right now, I think the Canucks are just playing a brand of physical hockey, too, where you do need to answer it, and maybe answer it in a way that, might get you a penalty or whatever, but taking the gameplay out of it, I think there needs to be a physical answer and an atonement for now what the Canucks have been doing, and certainly how the game ended last night. I mean, that's got to be bulletin board material for this group, not to just go out there and maybe take a run at one of personally Zadorov or Soucy, but to say, hey, this is our captain getting bang, pulverized and sandwiched at the end of the game, and yes, they ran to his defense. But man, is that an optical tale, hey, of telling how this series has kind of blossomed here, where you have two guys on the Canucks just going bing, bang, and your captain follows the ice. Gets right back up, but who's answering that? Who's answering that call? Who's answering that bell? Who is now going to step up next game and say, hey, big Nikita, big Z, or whatever they call you, and kind of get in his face and send a message to him? I know they have players that can maybe provide that sandpaper at times, but is it Carrick? Does he need to be injected in the lineup just for that? Does he need to be a mercenary on this roster now to just be injected to provide that pushback, that pop, even if it's just one moment, even if you're giving him, 5 minutes of ice time, but he's providing you with those moments, one or two of them a game? Is that what they need to kind of get things going again emotion-wise? 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. Jane on PK been solid. We're not getting all the calls anyways. Take the runs at those clowns. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. I'm not advocating for slapshot or Raws war antics. Maybe I am. Talk to me in my DMs. I don't need to say it publicly with the kids watching. But I think we all know what I'm putting down here is that the Canucks have they've announced themselves in a physical manner. I think the Oilers may have a few individuals on this roster that can answer that bell. Will they? Will they be put in positions to do that? Will that be a thing? Or are you just going to say, oh, well, we'll ignore it and go on and try to get shots and all this stuff, and the same thing happens again? So I know Jay was professing the toughness part of it. I think he was more talking so much of a team aspect, but I'm looking at an individual going out there, and I think a lot of you want somebody to take a run or do something and to just get this thing back because you're not getting that save. You maybe want to get the save, but you're not getting it right now from Stuart Skinner or anyone else. 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. This smells... I let the cat out of the bag right now. It is that's good right now for the Italian Center shop. And just to give them their dues, because you can't smell this, and neither will you taste it. But we want to send you to the place where you can. And I was there yesterday, and I proudly will say that I dropped a lot of money. But we also got this package. Dustin says you'll need to do a mission. You'll need to go to Italian Center shop for Sunday, for the Monday show, and get some chicken cutlets. Some nice, marinara sauce, some nice provolone, freshly sliced provolone. They're nice, a baguette? That's a bun.
Some sort of a roll,
roll, homemade, obviously, in-house Italian Center.
Oh, yeah, Zacticum's got it right up there on the...
They got it all.
Those cutlets look
You get that nice cross-section in there?
Yeah.
Here, buddy. Get that cross-section. Let all those flavors incorporate in there. But the Italian Center shop, whole chicken breasts, breaded and seasoned and baked to perfection, made just like Nona's Italian grandma. Serve with pasta and sauce for an easy chicken parmigiana. Or throw it on a bun for an easy handheld sandwich, which is what we're doing this morning. But Jay Milne, I trusted you. You have your food certificates. You brought them in.
Yes.
You proved everything. You've had a bite, it looks like.
I had to try it. just to see if the temperatures. I mean, we're not working with the chef's kitchen here by any means, but I'd like to see your reaction.
We
here.
we punch above our weight, given what that kitchen provides. Do we not?
We do. Let's just take a break from last night's game, right? Let's just take a break.
Treat yourself, damn it. Have you had that? You're into it. Yeah, you're chewing. Boys, I tell you.
No.
And it's the same with the beer. People are like, oh, yeah, you guys, anybody you deal with, you'll just talk. Yeah, easy to say. But when you have a good product, it does get a little repetitive to say, oh, these sandwiches are so kick-ass. Oh, this pizza is the best pizza you're ever going to have. We had the meatball subs a couple weeks ago. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Those
cutlets, though. I mean...
Haven't had my first cutlet from the Italian Center shop.
You're going to get more.
Fantastical. I'm going to get more. The blessing and curse I have is I live so damn close to the place. So now we have this segment in which we sample the goods, and I can't help myself. Be heading down there today, get a couple of... also went down there yesterday. I got the little mini lasagna and a mini sausage penne. Had the lasagna for lunch, penne for supper. Fantastic. I'm running off Italian food here. This is me for the past 48 hours.
It's lovely.
Courtesy of the Italian Center shop. That's good. You're just getting messy back there, hey, Zach. He's got sauce all over his face. Look at he's loving it. I love it.
It is. I mean, if you're eating,
I tell you, no, but this will fix you up. You're feeling bad today, like you're. I'm gonna put this.
Yeah.
You're and we get it. We've had enough mornings with you over the years, back in the old place and everything. There have been some tough mornings. A little food therapy will go wonders today. And this puppy right here, you double stacked this, did you not? There's a couple breasts in here, aren't they?
No.
BS.
Okay, maybe you caught the you had to layer them up in the middle. So yes, you're correct.
Because it's a nice thick. It's not like a. Oh baby. Do you want to host Zach for the next 20 minutes while I eat this thing? as he's going down on the sandwich. They're too good, and I hate the segment because I just want to dive into this thing and make love to it here, and I'm gonna have to take little nibbles while you're doing a sports update. But what do you have for the that's good sporting world or whatever? Because I have a few ideas I was going to share as well during the trivia, but I think I'll let one cat out of the bag.
I think you go ahead and let that one out of the bag. That was going to be my that's good.
Is it the Edmonton Stingers?
It's the Edmonton Stingers.
The Edmonton Stingers, baby. Feel the buzz. Bzzzt, will be carrying games this season live here on Edmonton Sports Talk. It is the Edmonton Stingers, our beloved basketball team here in the city, playing out of the hangar. You know it. You love it. It's the Expo Center. This is a club that obviously # Association City and Dustin Nielsen's love affair with the NBA, most notably LeBron James and the teams that he spends his time on. But the Edmonton Stingers are Edmonton's basketball team, and they've had some success here. So we love partnering with them. Of course, it's an affordable ticket. And we will be broadcasting games, edmontonsportstalk.com, the iHeartRadio TuneIn app as well during the season. The full broadcast schedule we'll have at edmontonsportstalk.com. That will be posted. Matthew Iwanik's going to have to get around to that. Mainly for road games as well, as we want you to kind of be getting down there and experiencing the hangar and the Expo Center and all of the, as far as game day promotions and in-game and in-house stuff, nothing more interactively fun than an Edmonton Stingers game. So it's nice that we'll be partnering with them, and when they're out of town on a few road trips, you'll be able to keep in touch with the team and keep up to date with the broadcast on Edmonton Sports Talk. This is going to be great.
That's huge.
Yeah, I'm taking you there. We're going to get our shoes shined. We're going to get our haircut. We're going to sit courtside. We're going to do the full meal deal. Whatever the Stingers can provide this season, we got to go down for one game to make that a reality.
The shoe shine thing is actually quite neat. If you go there, and a lot of people have their basketball shoes, it's not necessarily, your leather
Air Force One.
A lot of Air Force Ones, and you just sit up there, watch the game, and they shine your shoes and polish your shoes for free. It's a lovely. The atmosphere is great, but I'm. And sorry if I keep harping on this for those of you that don't have kids, but for those of you that do, this is a family-friendly, family-fun event. Free parking.
I feel like a kid when I go there.
It's
the whimsical and
it's almost like a carnival feeling, right? And then the explosions going off when they hit a three and the smoke going into the air. It's really a fun atmosphere. But I mean, ultimately, this can come down to in a lot of instances pricing. Free parking, $2 hot dogs, $2 pops. I mean, everything there is affordable. You can take your family of 5 or whatever out and spend under $100 even with tickets. So, if you're looking for good, entertaining sports, local sports, I would absolutely do that. And the fact that EST is now broadcasting or carrying these broadcasts, that just really, given that this is Edmonton Sports Talk,
yes,
and the focus here is
yes.
local,
yes,
right? Everything needing to be local, Edmonton-based sports. EST's got you covered.
If it's got the city's name behind it, you best bet we want to be right there with them.
Because nobody else is doing that, Eric, and it's a problem.
And for the Stingers, you play here, you're fine. You mentioned the whimsical carnival atmosphere. You get down to the hangar, you're having a good time. Boom, they go on the road, and then what? Then nobody knows what's going on. So we're going to try to keep that in the local conversation. Once again, Edmonton's on the jersey. You love to support them. Get out there and hoop it up with the Stingers this season. But when they're on the road, Edmonton Sports Talk will be right there with them. Zadorov should be Kane or a nurse that comes in from Steady as we just kind of continue to remember who we are this morning and where we need to be going. Your thoughts on my toughness rant as well, 780-218-9999, if you do think Carrick is the secret weapon heading into Game 4. Fergie's Prostate says, glue by Fieri. I think he meant to say glue guy Fieri. Guy Fieri?
He's asking if Guy Fieri's on the hangout, just, given the food.
Boy, Fergie, you're trying here. Hey, it's... outstanding effort, old man. That's really good. Were you out there with Tommy, though, last night? Hudson's, if you were, let us know. 780-218-9999. I do believe for Game 4 tomorrow, he'll be back at the White Avenue location. I think Belsey was with him doing the pre and post yesterday for a bit. So
Belsey found the swear button last night.
Oh, great.
Oh, great.
Well, that's
he did.
That's like it's like another dimension of consciousness when you find out one of those things. Like it changes the whole game for you.
He
like
had fun.
Yeah,
it was
Never look at it the same.
Open and honest opinion from one Belsey last night, in which the mute button was pressed several times.
He does not. Yeah, he'll tell you what you think. No refunds needed with him.
Hammer 83 in the nasty chat. I like this. Let's. Come on. It's positive vibes here a little bit. I mean, we can doom and gloom all you want for as long as you want, but at some point you're going to have to turn the corner.
You're making the turn.
And we're turning the corner, baby. Hammer 83. 4 fights tomorrow night and a 4-2 convincing win headed back 2-2. Send a message.
We're going to slap shot this thing, aren't we?
Ah!
Aren't we slapping the bus outside? I'm making it look mean, with the sledgehammer and all that.
Well, there's no question. And you know what? We'll have to bring that point up to Rishaug. Both you and I have been harping on the physical lack of physicality from the Oilers. I want to see what Rishaug has to say about that coming up.
Can they even match Vancouver's snarl? Maybe Vancouver are just
Absolutely.
the snarlier. Well, I think they.
It's not a message of can they.
Possible. Will they?
It's will they.
Will they? Thank you. Yeah.
Will they? And that needs to come from the top. That needs to come from Knobloch, and he needs to set that precedent that this is this team needs to be more engaged physically. It's quite simple, and I think it could light a fire under a lot of issues that are under that Oilers team right now.
Because we said it's a myriad of issues. You're saying though, if you start there, you might be clearing a lot up in that net.
Start there. Yeah. Good things happen from that. Pucks on net. That's what they always say. Pucks on net.
Yeah.
Get things to the net. Get physicality. Rub guys out in the corner. It's not a hard thing to do. It's just Zach. Dirty talk, you. I saw your
Zach,
face when I said that.
Today, man. You just
my God,
it's one
Zach.
Track. You're thinking of one. It's just you.
I didn't say anything. I didn't.
I didn't say anything. Your emotions, the look on your face says it all, Zach. I think that's you and I have a bit of a date today after the show too. Hey, we're gonna get some.
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh,
you're gonna rub Eric out in the corner on your date or what?
Don't give it away. Don't give it away. We got a lot of stuff to do here. It's 2 minutes to 8. I think we're keeping on the clock pretty good this morning, given it is a Monday after a weekend, playoffs, all this stuff. Dustin Nielsen is away, but when he's away, we shall play a bit. 780-218-9999. If you want to text in and play kind of easy trivia right now, Zactigum's behind the monitors, so play for Zactigum. If you know him, you might want to say something in your text that might give you a better leg up in getting the call. But if you want to play kind of easy trivia this morning, questions by Jason Milne this morning as well. So if that entices you or scares you away, either or, it is Jason asking the questions this morning. You need 3 out of 5, and you'll be off to Mr. Mike's. $20 to Mr. Mike's is up for grabs. Kind of easy trivia. If you want to play this morning, 780-218-9999. $99.99. We will also take a qualifier in the third hour for the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. We got a VIP table for that. So we'll continue our qualifying for that in the third hour. I'll give you a word, but not just yet. So be by your phones for the third hour. And again, if you want to play right now, though, if you want to play, you have to text in 780-218-9999. Zach will pick one of you. We'll have 3 questions too many as well after kind of easy trivia. You've all come to hear Ryan Rishaug this morning. See his face. Hopefully he's back on the video as well today. But he'll be joining us kind of midway through that third and final hour. And that's ahead of the wrap for William Huff to wrap up the show and sashay off into the hangout with Matt Iwanek this morning. I do believe Redbeard will be making an appearance. I don't know if I should have let that cat out of the bag, but here we are. That's fine.
Wow.
He didn't say no. He didn't tell me not to. This is a surprise. But
whoa.
Yeah, so a jam-packed third hour and taking your thoughts, concerns, questions, and remedies as well for this Oilers team in the Nasty Chat and Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. I got to finish this outstanding chicken parm sandwich from the Italian Center. You cooked it, though. Without you, the ingredients are fine, but it takes a good prep to kind of put it all together. And
Well, there was a discussion on the text thread between the three of us yesterday as to who was going to take the head on that, and I think
we all have roles. We do better than
we
others.
all have roles. Let's just say that, right?
Right decision. Right decision.
Yeah, Zach agrees. Yeah.
Well, Zach can't have sticky fingers back there, and having to get up and go heat things up, and
What are you thinking of now, Zach? Huh?
Yeah,
sticky
creep.
fingers. You. Oh yeah. Whatever. Yeah. Claiborne Services Sports Update.
Let's do it.
Fun third hour on the way. Edmonton Sports Talk.
The Oilers drop a 4-3 decision to the Canucks as they go down in the series 2-1. Arturs Silovs stopped 42 of 45 shots, and Brock Boeser chipped in 2 goals en route to the victory. Game 4 goes Tuesday night. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Panthers continue their dominance in Boston as they take the victory 3-2 and now have a 3-1 series lead. Tonight, the Rangers look to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final as they host Carolina in Game 5, and the Avalanche look to even things up with the Stars. Puck drop at 7:30. In the NBA, Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets even up the series with the Timberwolves. The Pacers also tie up their series as they secure a 121-89 victory over the New York Knicks. And even though they had a 3% chance, the Atlanta Hawks have won the NBA draft lottery. The Elks kicked off their 2024 campaign as they and all CFL teams opened up their training camps over the weekend. A reminder that Elks Fan Day is coming this Saturday, May 18th, down at Commonwealth Stadium. This sports update has been brought to you by Claiborne Services. Take your career to the next level with Claiborne Services. They're hiring all positions, including journeyman bricklayers and apprentices of all levels. Take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program and work with peace of mind knowing they are an industry leader in safety. Visit www.claiborneservices.com or make it easy and give Jeff a call at 780-910-6728.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
$8:03 in Edmonton, Mountain Time. 10 degrees, looking for a high of 19 this afternoon. Risk of an afternoon shower as well, down to 9 this evening and overnight. Bit of a mixed bag weather-wise today. We're getting you through. Oilers, Game 3 loss to the Canucks, 4-3, your final last night. Outshooting Vancouver, albeit. But a few things to discuss this morning. Not just one glaring issue. Not just a couple of big issues. But a handful of issues, nonetheless, plaguing this Oilers team as we break down last night's game and look forward to Game 4 tomorrow night. Of course, Lieutenant Eric in for you today. Dustin Nielsen away. Travel day for him in the WHL Championship, calling that series on TSN. Moose Jaw Warriors heading out to Portland, taking both games over the Winterhawks, so that series now shifts to Moose Jaw games 3 tomorrow night and 4 on Wednesday. So that series could be ending a little quicker than a few would have imagined in the championship, but Jason Milne in this morning as well, and Zach Tickham behind the monitors. Having a good time. We're getting through this. I think I like to think of these shows post, a loss, whether regular season or playoffs, as a bit of and I'm not trying to use the word already, but like a forensic, like we're solving the case here. We're trying to, the body's been lined, we're chalking it, and we're saying, hey, let's get under the hood here and try to figure this thing out.
We're finding the shells across the parking lot.
Yeah,
we're doing our due diligence.
We need a lot more time for this particular case. It could be a two-parter here. But any thoughts as well, communicate to us via the Nasty Chat or the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. Zach, did we find somebody for trivia?
Yeah, we got Big Uke on the line here.
Big Uke, he was at the Birdie Booze launch there. He was actually stumbling distance, I think, his sister
No. Well, maybe his sister, but he told me he lives north of the city.
Oh, he lives way up, but he was lodging just up.
Oh,
it was Paradise City for him.
What a great shirt he had on, too. Very festival-ish.
Oh, I know what it was a collared,
collared shirt, almost, had a nice fun pattern to it.
Playing the part. Well, let's bring in Big Uke this morning, and Jason Milne, of course, will be asking the questions here. On the line, it's for Mr. Mike's, $20 to Mr. Mike's. Big Uke is a veteran, though. He knows how this goes. Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever. Hampton Inn on the corner of 137th Ave and Mark Messier Trail, now with the 6 o'clocker lager on tap. So $20 for Mr. Mike's on the line. And we'll bring in Big Uke this morning. Big Uke, how you doing, man? Good to see you there on Saturday. You feeling good?
Morning, boys. I think I've finally recovered from Saturday, so let's have a week here.
Still got the blue ring around the lips, or
a little bit.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good sign. Yeah. Jason Milne will read the questions. You need 3 out of 5. The ticker will begin after he reads the first one. Good luck to you, Big Uke.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Did you tell your mother that you love her yesterday?
Multiple times.
Who won last night between the Oilers and Canucks?
The Canucks.
Did the Denver Nuggets win yesterday?
Yep.
Is it she loves or she loves?
I don't really care.
Is the EST Birdie Booze going to be in your bag this golf season?
Multiple bags in multiple times. It's delicious.
Oh, yeah. Oh!
My name is Julius, and I'm your twin brother. I've been looking forward to this moment my whole life. Excuse me, but I was just taking a shower. Tell me a little bit about Vincent. Was he a great athlete? Was he interested in chess and poetry? My name is Julius. My name is Julius. My name is Julius.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
There you have it, the Club Beat Loop remix. Somewhat of a remix. So you got a little twins. Vincent and old Arnie peppered on top of that Club Beat Loop remix. And we congratulate Big Uke on his big win this morning. He's going to Mr. Mike's, $20 richer in Mr. Mike's credits. Once again, you can check them out. 137th Ave, Mark Messier Trail. They got the 6 o'clocker lager on tap. And it's casual. So if Big Uke doesn't want to wear his colored, buttoned-up Hawaiian shirt, he doesn't have to. He can even have the blue ring around his lips, much like the Birdie Booze, and that's what gave him Saturday. He can show up there like that, and he'll be just fine. So head over to Mr. Mike's, but if you want $20 to Mr. Mike's, next chance tomorrow during Kind of Easy Trivia. 3 questions as well to come here. Ryan Rishaug of the Got Your Back podcast will join us midway through the hour. We'll take a deep dive on that Oilers game, figure out what went wrong last night, and look ahead to tomorrow and see what can be done. Or what things can be done, I guess plural, in order to get it back in the series, and the wrap for William Huff to round out the show. Let's do this right now. The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. And I just want to do this now, I guess, before we forget, because a lot of things going on this morning. And, we're going to get into that Blue Jays Twins series, and I want to make sure we have enough time to do this. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. But we want to get you, the most important thing on this show and this station is making you, the listener or viewer, a winner. We're trying to get you across the finish line and getting you to be a winner as much as we can. So it's the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. We got a chance at a VIP spot for the Friday show. It is sold out. Which makes it even more tantalizing for you. VIP table for 4, Friday, July 12th, featuring Shane Gillis, Andrew Schultz, and Mark Gagnon. For more information on this great event, greatoutdoorscomedyfestival.com is to buy tickets. But if you want to be entered into a draw to get that VIP table for 4, text in right now, laugh. Text laugh to 780-218-9999. Laugh. Laugh. The boys and I like to have a laugh around the office some days. You go to the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, you will have a laugh from the entertainment and camaraderie and the 6 o'clocker loggers being tossed around liberally. So, Alley Cat, the official beer sponsor, of course, the 6 o'clocker lager will be there throughout the weekend in drinkable and big form. But right now, text LAUGH 780-218-9999 on the line. Your chance at a VIP table for 4, Friday, July 12th. Shane Gillis, Andrew Scholes, Mark Gagnon. It is the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. You like a laugh, don't you, hey?
I love a laugh.
You love a laugh.
I love a good laugh, yeah. There was plenty of laughs on Saturday there. That was fun. A much more laughable event than this morning, I'll tell you. This thing's got really serious here.
Well, it sucks. Like, you don't want to, like, I mean, ideally, we all want to come in here. Hey, the Oilers, another win, another, Glenn Moss tweet canceling off those 6 o'clock lager cups. You want to be knocking those down, but here we are. Now it's
sure is beautiful to see those things get canceled off. But I will say, let's say Draisaitl potted a hat trick and the Oilers won, and everything's rainbows and lollipops around here. We don't even have goal songs, do we?
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah.
We can pull those up.
Yeah.
All right, because I noticed, Dusty took the keys to the.
He took it all. You don't even
everything.
have a conch.
Oh,
you usually.
This is my conch button. Is my sandwich now.
Hit that sandwich. Hit that sub. Hey, as they like to say. I just. Yeah, we would be able to do that. It's. I don't know. Given the fun, and we talked about the laughing. I mean, going back to Birch and Bear Pizza for the Birdie Booze launch, and my tweet the next morning, like it was a great day. Went to my buddy's place, celebrated his boy's first birthday.
Yes.
Harris, happy birthday to you, and thank you to Ryan and Haley for having me over as well. But hell of a day, 37,000 steps I put on the old pedometer in an 11 smoke day. Like I shouldn't be here right now. I should be in an iron lung or something like that, right? Like I should be kind of but I did it. But the fact that I was at this event, and what's always a good measuring stick for me is I'm like, I got pictures of people, videos or something. Nothing.
Right.
Didn't take the phone out once.
That's good. That means you're in good company. Yeah.
It's a hell of a sign.
Yes.
Obviously, from a promotional point of view, I dropped the ball.
I got you back, though.
And we all, Tommy was all over it. He was doing all that.
Tommy took a nice video,
yeah. But that to me is the definition of Saturday for me. It was so fun. And I don't think you had to wipe the smile off my face the entire afternoon. But I couldn't even get the phone out. Not a chance.
Good for you.
And seeing some listeners as well, some nasties. I haven't seen in a couple of years. I think you know who you are. But great to see you all out there. And it was a great launch. And thank you again to Strat Spirits, Strathcona Spirits, and Birch and Bear Pizza for being the gracious hosts yesterday. It was just a magnificent event. And you can get all that Birdie Booze right now. Sobeys and Safeway Liquor. We'll be stocking the place in here. You should almost look at buying another liquor fridge. You get the beer fridge, but then you need a liquor fridge as well to keep the vodkas and everything.
We'll need it. Yes,
yeah,
we'll definitely need
it. Time for 3 questions to Minnie. Brought to you as always by the great staff at Park Mazda, where I'm still taking down this chicken parmesan sandwich. Dealer principal Mitch Lewicki eats chicken parms 3 times a day. It's how he keeps his bristling figure. Park Mazda, your dealer for life. In this segment, Dustin usually asks me for my social media accounts and such. Where can people follow you on the internet and elsewhere? Do you have an email address, people, or maybe just want to?
My phone number is 780.
Whatever you want,
You can follow me at Jason Milne. A lot of my content is massive numbers, huge.
You have some viral tweets.
Viral,
yeah. You go big.
Don't know how or why, but sometimes it happens. At Jason Milne, no underscore. Or you can follow my dear friend Eric on Instagram at...
Yeah, Lasagna Enthusiast on Instagram. It's the place to be for all the stuff outside of the sports world, I guess you could say. But
rocks. There's pictures of rocks.
Pictures
of
that's
the River Valley.
Certainly one of them.
I just want to, 3 questions too many. I'm going to start with question number 1. I actually have question number 1 and 2.
Get in.
Eric, you just admitted to having said how many steps in one day? 20 or...
It was 37,000.
37,000. What's the furthest you've walked in one...
straight line is like the crow
I
flies.
know you love to walk.
I love it. It's so
you
fun.
really enjoy a good walk. But give me like a point to point. Like say from West Edmonton Mall you've walked to...
I walked West Edmonton Mall to Commonwealth Expo Center. Wow. That's a good haul, no, is it not? Like
That's pretty long. Like
That's outrageous.
cross section of the city, but like almost a straight. You're up and down in the valley and stuff, but
I mean, that's incredible.
certainly scooter season helps out too when you're kind of.
Oh, do you hop on sometimes? Take a little edge off?
If you've done one trip, you don't need to do the round trip. So as a reward, you'd be like, you see a lime. You're like,
Sure.
I've done enough today. I treat myself, but no, I love it. I love it. Just a quick PSA. Great way to see the city. Obviously, when it's not an 11 degrees smoke alert out there, it'd be a little smarter to do it. But no, I love it, man. And it's whether it's going to see Tommy at the Hudson's, and again, a responsible way to get around. I like to kick up my heels and have a good time, such as anybody does. But then walking it off is also nice. You feel a lot better the next day. And I don't have any kids, but I feel like I'm a dad here talking this stuff. Here. Like,
Well,
it's
I
good
mean,
for you.
dads walk.
It's easy on the gas, your wallet, all of these things are true. But it's good. I love to walk, man. I just love it. I love seeing the city. There's so many little bits and bites and things that you miss when you're driving or getting Ubered around at a tremendous
especially
speed.
from the sidewalks in the river valley that you tend to find yourself in.
It's great stuff.
You see different
And
things.
great people.
Great people.
The people watching. Mwah.
that's the best part.
Chef's
right?
kiss.
People watching.
Like you get the scenery, you get to see what people are up to, especially I guess. Like downtown.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's a little strange, but I checked the distance from Commonwealth Stadium to West Edmonton Mall. That's 18 kilometers.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
There
for
and
real.
back.
That's for real.
Whew.
Yeah.
Question number 2 comes in from Papa Bear. I thought this was a very astute question. Zadorov is doing what Kane and Perry were brought here to do. Everyone but that unit are invisible. Where is everyone?
I would throw a Darnell Nurse into that too. I mean, I know I'm looking 3 hits. I don't know how much you want to write home about that, but certainly a guy that I think too brings sandpaper to his game. And I know people always love to toss out the monetary equation to his contract. Well, I tend to think he's more than a defenseman, and I would want a more of a physical game. Now people will argue, well, you can't take himself out. I don't care if Zadorov's doing it. Like I don't care what position. You're paying him $9 million because you think he's one of your top defensemen. Well, I want him mixing it up as well. He's got an edge to his game that I think needs to and could be shown a lot more. A guy like Vincent Desharnais, I know 10 minutes on the ice last night, but he had a shot, no hits, which is kind of, unindicative of a style that I would want from him, especially if you're looking at giving him a big loaded deal moving forward. Like, these are guys that you just kind of, if I look them up in the book, I want to see toughness and physicality in that 1 or 2 definition spot, and I don't think you're seeing it from those two. And then again, the Perry Kane one, I mean, those are obvious. The Kane thing too, and he's been having a decent postseason. I know compared to the regular season, a lot of us said the switch will be flipped, and he did just that. And the bench incident with Zadorov, putting him in there and kind of putting him down a bit. Kane gets up, he smiles, he knows what he's doing there, and I kind of said going into the Kings series, you'd have to do that. They're going to be the ones trying to get a little chippy and get you off your game, and if you just sit there and smile and let them do it all and let them parade themselves to the penalty box, they'll be fine. But this ain't no Kings series, and I think you're going to need a lot more now, and you're going to need to not just sit there and smile, but in the case of Warren Fogle, doing stuff on the bench to get that minor, no, not like that, but I mean to go out there and somebody needs to check a fill-in-the-blank into their bench the same type of style. I'm looking at you, Darnell Nurse, I'm looking at whoever, so yeah, not Fogle on the bench getting involved and nullifying the minor that you would have gotten, but the same thing that they're doing, the Zadorovs are doing, the Susie cross-check, those types of extracurriculars, and maybe you can argue it's not even extracurricular, but that toughness, that forward-thinking assertiveness instead of just the letting them do it, yeah, maybe that worked with the Kings. I don't think it's going to work now. It's proving it's not.
No, and I mean, you want to talk about a disappearing actor or invisibility right before our eyes. Paul from The Rock comes in the the Paris Jewelers inbox. Ryan McLeod is 0-0-0 in 7 games. He almost hit a guy once, I think.
No, he's
doing nothing out there but laps.
He's one of the main missing. And you could maybe argue with Nuge in terms of what he, and what you expect of him. I don't know if you're expecting a lot, again, from the offensive side of Corey Perry, but certainly there's a makeup on the physical side there. The 5-on-5's a concern.
Well, I think
Infamous in the nasty chat pointing that out.
Oilers fans wanted that Corey Perry that they played against at one point in Anaheim.
Been a while,
right? And you're not seeing that at all. And in fact, you're not seeing that from any Oilers players right now. But you went on your rant, I went on my rant. Toughness.
It all kind of trickles back to that. It does this morning in our little experiment. Has LT offered Zadorov a walking tour of Edmonton yet? I'm game. I'm open if he can find a couple hours, 2 or 3 tomorrow afternoon prior to the game. I wouldn't mind taking him around. I'm sure a lot of you nasties could kind of meet us along the way in the river down there in one of the lesser known trails, and give him the what for, the 2x4, whatever you'd like to bring to the party. But sure, if Nikita wants to, phone's always on, Mr. Zadorov. I'll be glad to be your tour guide.
Question 3 for you, Lieutenant Eric. Would you like to see some accountability from the coaching staff and Knobloch in particular, and see changes to this, especially the bottom 6? I mean, you can only shake up the top 6 and maybe play with the center so much. But would you like to see a Sam Gagner inserted into the lineup? You said Carrick earlier. Shake things up. Maybe have McLeod watch this from the press box for a game. Just to that used to be the way to do it.
Called sending a message, yeah,
exactly.
And then lighting a spark under somebody's ass. And to preface the Carrick, I didn't have this in any sort of bullet point form this morning and needing to have Carrick in, but people are certainly making their case known and showing me the examples and their thoughts. So I'm kind of liking it right now, and certainly with the physicality and toughness aspect, maybe he does get in and pop somebody and play 5 minutes or whatever it needs to be. To get back to your question, the coaching, I know everybody's saying, he's going full Woodcroft here and he's matching it up. I just don't know what you do. And if Draisaitl is hurt, and yes, everybody's hurt, yada, yada, but obviously maybe something a little wrong, the back there or something. So with that in mind, is that the thought process then? Now is that why he's with McDavid, or is it just Knobloch thinks he's out of cards here and this is his final hand? Because if you're playing Draisaitl up there because he's hurt and you don't want him anchoring a line and playing center on line 2, well, then he can't be playing a half an hour. Like, he can't be on the ice still for a half an hour. So I would still go with the spine. I would go Draisaitl centering line 2. I would, and this is where it kind of, I don't know, what do you do with Nuge? And what do you do with Fogle now? I wanted Fogle up top. Maybe you go back to him too and say, prove everybody wrong. You had a stinker of a game. Turnovers and everything included. Put Holloway up top, see him ride. I mean, they're not short of a few options here.
I've seen 55's name being mentioned on the top line.
Because why not?
A few times.
Let her rip.
And I think he would actually be able to handle that quite well.
Because if not, then whom? And we're kind of going down the list here. And Fogle, again, with what he did yesterday, certainly not impressive. I don't know if anybody's clamoring for Ryan McLeod to get that spot now based on whatever. You like to see him get going, and sometimes that's a recipe for success with guys, and just put him up with McDavid and see what happens. But I come from I want the 3 C's. I want McDavid, Draisaitl, and I guess Ryan Nugent-Hopkins down there, although I know a lot of you would probably like to have him top 6, but there are a few options to do here. I just don't know which one, given the health and how Knobloch views this thing. Like, I don't think is he going full nuclear, or is he just trying to shelter Leon a bit?
I don't think you're going to go full nuclear here, but you have to at some point send a message that this is not what is being presented on the ice is not okay. The Oilers cannot win playing this style of hockey. But do you shift things up? Maybe promote a guy like Holloway. I just saw Matthew Murat, Holloway with McDavid and Hyman.
Yeah.
Nuge 3C with Kane and Fogle.
Okay.
And I don't think Fogle's at the point where you have to necessarily sit him down or demote him.
He's had a great season. He's a crap game.
But you just, I don't know what it is, but with Fogle you seem to see a person that's at least giving an effort. Might not always be the right play or
a few mistakes,
yeah, but you'd rather see somebody make a mistake at full speed than at half speed.
Yep.
And it seems like Fogle is capable of doing that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing things shake up and getting Holloway back up at that, at chance with that top line.
They're not backs against the wall, but certainly when you get
better
down
than
now,
Janmark, I'll tell you that.
Well, and that's another one. Like we've been through this now, and we know what it's like. So by by lack of other options and better ones, I guess maybe that's the thing is just throwing Holloway back up there. Playoff Warren Foegele is back in that he is completely disappeared and on his way to a healthy scratch. Gotta love playoff Foegele. And maybe that's something in there from Stampeder as well. And the night and day from the regular season performance. McLeod and Perry with Dry. Any way you want to have your lineups, send them in. We'll get them all. We'll maybe even forward a few to Ryan Rishaug, see what he thinks. I'm sure he'll have a thought on the lineup, whether to change or not change. And amongst all the other things last night as well. Again, I don't think it boils down to just one particular thing, although you and I are trying to kind of bring it back to an overall team toughness and a give a damn and a grit and getting involved. But, it's not 4 posts, and it's not the opposition goaltender standing on his head. So it's not all. I think there's both things you can weigh this. There's a few things that obviously were right for Vancouver, but I don't think it was just last night's game. I think a few things have been going right for them, and it's more of a theme than just a random one-off here. Yes, Jason, you nailed it. Bottom 6 especially. Fourth line not playing much anyway. Shake it up and wake it up. Rookie coach and show a little emotion and want while you're at it. Teams do take the DNA of the guy at the head, right? And Knobloch kind of sometimes he's quiet, he bides his time. That's just the type of individual he is. He's not a yelling guy.
Yeah,
if he goes out there and starts yelling, I'll be like, well, what the heck are you doing? You're trying to be somebody, but and maybe that's just the team taking on that.
I gotta say, I keep seeing this sentiment brought up of like the talk of this being the deepest team. When was there discussion that the Oilers team was the deepest team? I don't think any analyst or anybody would ever say that the Oilers have depth. They've been making it by on their top 6 production. They do not have depth, nor has there ever been perceived as depth.
There's been perceptions, and the depth will come knocking every once in a while.
But when is there
during a 5-game win streak? We'll say, "Oh boy, they figured it out now." The depth. Derek Ryan's got 2 and 3 or something like that, and then we'll say, "Damn it, they figured it out."
That's not sustained depth.
I agree with you.
For the whole season, there has not been depth in our bottom 6. So nobody is saying that this is the deepest team going. That's no. You know what? You know where your cookies crumbled, and it's with the top guys. It's with your big dogs. That is Oilers hockey as we currently know it. So no, I would not say that there is that this has been shouting and screaming from the mountaintops that the Oilers have depth, but they could certainly use some right now, and maybe changing some lineup combinations could be the thing that happens. But like you said, Eric, that's the pros and cons to having a coach like Knobloch, who's very, very, contained, reserved.
Won't be pulling out his hair.
No,
so that's good. You're not going to be...
And you don't need a yelling, screaming coach to get your players. If you do, then you shouldn't be in the NHL. You should be able to motivate yourselves, and seeing the ass-kicking you've been having at the hands of the Canucks lately in terms of physicality, with a little bit of a lineup shakeup, getting some of these people out of their comfort zone and saying, well, you're not playing well enough. Go sit and watch from the press box, see the game from there. Maybe it'll open up your eyes a bit more. Having that happen, and then having some physicality come out, and shaking that's simple recipe. And that's not a skill thing. That's just effort. I
try to be a contrarian. I also try to be positive. And I know a lot of people, you can maybe say, posts and all this. I do think though that they're like you can't re-rack it. You can't show up tomorrow with the same thing. Whether that's in the crease, whether that's forward groups, bottoms, whatever you want. You can't just show up again. Maybe you can. I don't know. We'll have TSN's Ryan Rishaug coming up next, the host of the world-famous Got Your Back podcast. I do believe he's in the bullpen ready to go. We'll have a quick sports update here from Jason Milne, courtesy Big Mama's and Papa's Pizzeria. If you want to get yourself feeling good today, Jason's got some more info on that. You maybe want to place a call to them or give them a visit to get yourself feeling good stomach-wise this morning. But more on the Oilers' Game 3 loss and where they go from here heading into Game 4 coming up next with Ryan Rishaug. He's got all the answers. You have all the questions. Send them in 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. Sports update, Ryan Rishaug back in on the other side.
The Oilers drop a 4-3 decision to the Canucks as they go down in the series 2-1. Arturs Silovs stopped 42 of 45 shots, and Brock Boeser chipped in 2 goals en route to the victory. Game 4 goes Tuesday night from Rogers Place. In Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, the Panthers continue their dominance in Boston as they take the victory 3-2 and now have a 3-1 series lead. Tonight, the Rangers look to punch their ticket to the Eastern Conference Final as they host Carolina in Game 5, and the Avalanche look to even things up with the Stars. Puck drop is at 7:30. In the NBA, Nikola Jokic scored 16 of his 35 points in the fourth quarter as the Nuggets even up the series with the Timberwolves, and the Pacers also tie up their series as they secure a 121-89 drubbing of the New York Knicks. And even though they had a 3% chance, the Atlanta Hawks win the NBA draft lottery. The Elks kicked off their 2024 campaign as they, as well as all CFL teams, open up training camps over the weekend. A reminder that Elks Fan Day is coming this Saturday, May 18th, down at Commonwealth Stadium. This sports update has been brought to you by Big Mamas and Papa's Pizzeria. BMPP is a real pizzeria restaurant, not just a delivery pizza chain. Serving authentic Italian cuisine with their made-in-house pizza dough, traditional tomato sauce, and fresh toppings. Each pizza is cooked to perfection. A pizza experience that you've been waiting for. Visit them at 12848 97th Street or order today, www.bmpp.ca, or call 587-746-0550.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Yeehaw, 8:30. Lieutenant Eric in for Dustin. Well, it's a communal effort. Lieutenant Eric alongside Jason Milne in for Dustin Nielsen. He is away calling the Western Hockey League Championship Series between the Winterhawks and Warriors. Warriors taking the first two down in Portland. Over and heading into the weekend, the series shifts to Moose Jaw. Games 3 and 4 tomorrow and Wednesday. So we'll see if Dusty, the series might be ending a little quicker than a lot of us would have thought in the championship. But he's off doing that. We're here breaking down the big stuff. Oilers, Canucks. Zactum as well behind the monitors, locking it down this morning. I do believe Ryan's good to go. He's in the bullpen, and we appreciate his time as always. A real busy man. You know him from around town. He's got his finger on the pulse. And Ryan, we were trying to come in this morning after a loss, like you do, regular season playoffs, whatever. And we take the body, we put the chalk around it. We say, okay, this is that's there. We have our suits on and everything. Is it physicality? Is it 4 posts? Is it goaltending? Is it lack of depth? Is it 5-on-5? Where do you want to start, and where do you see this thing going as it stands right now, following last night?
Where do I want to start? By the way, hey Jay, how you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Great to chat with you. Doing a great job sitting in the big chair.
It is a big chair, I must say.
It is, yeah, a large chair. You've got great backup there with Eric. Okay, where do we want to start? Well, I mean, you should probably start with goaltending because it's probably the biggest question moving forward here. And, you know, not only is it last night, but it's also what now? So I think let's start with goaltending, but I'm not going to say that goaltending is the reason that they lost the game last night.
But I like it because it's the crease and you're working your way out. Like, that's a nice...
Well, yeah, let's work our way from the back out. So I think it's important, you know, Stuart Skinner didn't let any horrible goals in last night. And I think it's important to mention that. Like, when you're talking about goaltenders, you go goal by goal by goal and say, okay, reasonably, what could he have done? And there are no goals. I mean, there was no, you know, Zadorov beating him from way outside there was none of that last night. But also what there wasn't was any spectacular saves taking away those prime scoring chances. Like, bottom line, you know, Arturs Silovs is stopping a lot of the Oilers' best scoring chances. You know, a lot of them. And that's what you need to get in the playoffs. Stuart Skinner is having a hard time coming up with the big save. And you can say, well, that's not fair. Guys should just have to be steady and other mistakes and give it right. But to win in the playoffs, your goalie needs to be capable of making big saves. It's just what's required. And, you know, I didn't love the third one. He's down, feels like he's down early, feels like he's deep in his net. He's getting beat to the side. You know, Boeser's a good shooter. We know that. But he's getting outplayed. And his overall body of work in the playoffs is, I mean, the numbers are an atrocity. Like, the numbers are just awful. That's not necessarily fair because you need to zoom in a little bit. But bottom line, he's getting out goaltended by a guy that has next to no experience. And you just have to wonder where his head is at. And so the Oilers have a decision to make. I think there's a very good possibility that Calvin Pickard will start game 4. And I would start Calvin Pickard in game 4. When Skinner's game started going the wrong way in the second round last year, he couldn't get it back. And they refused to go to the other guy, right? No matter how well Campbell was playing in relief, they kept going to Skinner. And I think if you look at that history and if you look at what happened, I think you need to give the other guy a go here.
And Pickard's proven, albeit in a backup role during the season, that he can come in and do a job, provided he hasn't played a playoff game here or anything such as that, but well-liked. And I think Jay mentioned as well that you're kind of, that too lights a fire into the team and says, look where Skinner is now, and you guys, and now let's work our way outside of the crease and talking about this team as a whole. And we've been saying too, the physicality and just the punchback and the bite. And I just want to get your thoughts on the kind of the melee happening post-game yesterday. It's funny that Silovs makes another brilliant save as the time just hits 0.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty indicative of kind of how the night goes. He doesn't even make a save in that moment, does it? But the Susie Zadorov pinball machine that they put McDavid through. Now, I know guys rush to the defense and everything happens afterwards, but just the Zadorov putting Kane into the bench, all of those things, like you do feel like this team's getting a bit. Is ragdoll the proper term here, Ryan? I don't know if that's too strong of a word, but
I think that's too strong a word. But I totally take your point. The Zadorov thing, that just is what it is, right? I think the refs did a terrible job there. Like, don't give a penalty to anybody there. Just let that happen. Sure. It's a funny play. It happens. Let everybody get on with their business. Everyone was fine. That was a little bit goofy there. What I didn't like, and Struds made this point, when I asked Struds last night, what do you think? The first thing he talked about was how the Oilers didn't meet the moment early in the game. And exactly what you're talking about, right? Mattias Ekholm gets dummied twice in the first shift there. And it was like, okay, the Canucks have showed up to play. The Canucks have brought their physical game and they've showed up to play. Now, what do you see from the Oilers as a result of that? And the point that Struds made, and I completely agree with him, is just there wasn't enough pushback. The Oilers didn't show up with that game and push back and show up willing to play that type of game. So, fast forward to the end of the game, what happened there? McDavid didn't like getting shoved. He throws a two-handed slash to the pad. Susie slashes him back. Then there's a Zadorov cross check, which I thought was pretty vicious, like right to the low back, right? You're trying to hurt a guy when you hit him there. It happens all series long though, right? I mean, the Oilers have been doing similar things in play, throwing cross checks around and stuff. That is what it is. But the combination of that and then one to the teeth the head was not a great look. So I don't know what's going to happen from this thing. I mean, if they came out and said, look, a cross check to the face, it's just not going to be acceptable. And he gets a game, I wouldn't be surprised by that, but I also will not be surprised one bit if it's only a fine.
He popped back up. Doesn't look like he's hurt too much, right?
And credit to McDavid. That sequence looked like it hurt, and he was not staying down, in any way, shape, or form. But I mean, we saw Sam Bennett absolutely dummy Brad Marchand, just dummied him with a sucker, and he's skating around out there playing and scoring goals, right? So the Department of Player Safety, who the hell knows, quite frankly. So I would say the response in the moment, a few guys tried to get in there. I think Hyman jumped in there right away. Whatever, the game was over. That is what it is. But I would say bigger picture, the Edmonton Oilers have far too many players skating around out there thinking it's not their responsibility to try and be physical and take part in that part of the game. They have far too many players who just think either someone else will do it or I don't have to. I'm not sure if this is the way the head coach wants him to play, because I've asked Chris Knobloch about the physicality of this team and he brushes it off like it's not a big deal. I think that's a mistake. If that's the message they're getting in the locker room, I don't think that's the right way to coach in the playoffs. I don't know what they're being told. All I know is that Ryan McLeod has gone 4 of his last 5 games without throwing a single hit.
Yeah.
He had 1 game where he had 3, and he's had zeros across the board. Cody Ceci never throws hits. Darnell Nurse had 1 hit over a 4-game stretch, and we finally started asking about it. This team doesn't seem to understand that it's everybody's responsibility to get the level of play up to playoff intensity. And playoff intensity, you guys, you take care of all the details. You go out there and you leave nothing to chance. So that means skating hard, finishing checks. That's the basics you can control. It's one of the easiest things to do, to finish checks. And no, you don't want guys running out of position and running all over the place, being dumb about it, but you definitely finish the obvious ones. You have to try to get through an entire NHL playoff game with 0 hits. You have to be making an effort not to hit anybody out there. A conscious effort every shift. I just don't want to do it. And the Oilers have way too many guys who think it is not their job. And as a result, they are not at the intensity level required to win in the playoffs. And yes, it's not the reason they lost, right? They hit a pile of goalposts. The other goalie played great. Yeah. But if you want to evaluate overall the Oilers' level of play and any prayer they have past this round, it ain't even close intensity-wise. So they might have got away with that against LA. They're not getting away with it against Vancouver here, but they will get dummied in the next rounds if these players don't figure out this is the minimum level required of effort and intensity tonight. And that involves getting a little bit dirty.
And I couldn't agree more with you, Shoggy, on that, because we've been talking about it all morning. Just this is an effort issue where you're making the conscious decision to be more physical, and the Oilers simply haven't brought that at this point. Now, leading in or answering that and saying, okay, there needs to be some sort of a change here. Obviously the Oilers' success depends on their top 6 players, but that bottom 6 has been lackluster, unemotional, and really, like you said, almost going out of their way not to be physical. Do you see any, bottom 6 changes? Obviously, Pickard, you've stated that you feel that he's going to start in Game 4. Do you see any changes happening in this bottom 6 lineup?
Well, I tell you who I would like in the lineup is Sam Gagner and Sam Carrick. But here's the problem. You can't slow yourself down that much. And that's an issue. And I mean, no disrespect to these players, but I think we know what their strengths are, right? So to inject both of those guys into this series right now, I would worry about your overall level of speed out there. I really would. So you probably got to pick one or the other, I would think. Let's see what happens with Adam Henrique, whether he's available or not for the next game. If he is, there's a change for you right away. But I think Carrick is probably the obvious one. He's a guy that will finish checks. He's a guy that will stand there in front of Nikita Zadorov and challenge him to a fight. He's a guy that will, not that that's going to swing the series or matter, but my point is he's going to engage. He's going to be in the fight. And right now the Oilers have a lack of players who are actually going out of their way to make sure they're in the fight. You got a lot of guys that are tiptoeing around the edges of the fight, and they're not really truly in it. You've got Corey Perry out there. I mean, his movement is limited out there, his mobility, right? Yeah. After the whistle, he's stopping in the crease. He's trying to get into the goalie's grill to shake him a little bit. He's trying to engage with the defenseman. He's trying to go do Corey Perry things out there. He's got 2 or 3 guys on him in the crease, and he's got his line mates skating around looking up at the scoreboard to just look away. Just look away. Right? Ryan McLeod's just floating around. Corey Perry's in there just trying anything. It's just not good enough. It's not intense enough. It's just not. So, yeah, you want to see Sam Carrick in there. Gagner would be in the fight. Gagner would inject a little bit more skill into that bottom 6, which I think you need. I just don't think you can make both those changes. As much as you might want to see both those guys, because Gagner has this way of finding moments. I just don't think you can make both of those. So it's one or the other.
We're dicing up the Oilers' effort, but people are loving yours this morning, Ryan, in the nasty chat. Ryan Rishaug looks pissed. LMAO. Fired up Rishaug is the Rishaug I enjoy. Care. No, you care, and it's not. Somebody said not mad, just disappointed. And then 97.
I'm not disappointed. I don't care. I don't cheer.
97 Octane says Shogger for Jack Adams, so you can tuck that in your pocket and put that on a cover letter moving forward. But I want to get your thoughts. You mentioned a name in there as well, and as we work our way out from the crease. You went with Pickard. You mentioned Carrick and Gagner. I wanted to get your thoughts, and if you could just elaborate, if you can, if you have the info. The Adam Henrique question, to which when he was acquired, I know it's not a flashy name, and a lot of people, holding this, all that. Yeah, but the guy provides you with some flexibility. Had the goal in the open. Seemed like he was kind of fitting in and finding a place for himself, and I just want your thoughts on the importance when we can expect to see him back, if at any time soon. But given that flexibility, and not just to say that the Oilers miss him, the individual, but what did he bring to kind of that top 6 in order of just having guys where they maybe should be? And now with him out of there, you're you're moving to fill these spaces. Like Fogel's game yesterday, unfortunately, for the season he had, was just putrid. So I know we've done the goaltending. We've gone to the bottom six. What are you looking at, if anything? Are you keeping 29.97? Are you moving that around? And the Henrique question as well just kind of throws a...
Okay, so we'll start with Henrique. He's hurt. And when Adam Henrique is hurt and it's a lower body injury and it affects his skating, you can't play him, right? They tried to play him.
It's not a toughness issue, right?
No. They tried to play him, and it was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Right? He should not have played in that game. It was very clear he wasn't up to speed. Made a mistake on the penalty kill that if he's up to full speed, he does not make. So if you notice his minutes there, they played him probably with penalty killing in mind through the injury. And I think that was all the penalty killing he did for the entire night. He did his best, but clearly he's banged up, and they made a mistake. And so he comes out for the following game. Now, I'm not putting him back in anywhere near the top three lines unless he is much better. If you want to put him in a fourth line role in limited minutes, if he's still hurt, then fine. He's a good player to have in there. That'll be frustrating for Oiler fans. They look at Carrick, who hasn't been in. They look at Henrique, who hasn't been contributing. He's been hurt, and they see that first-round pick. That's easy to throw a pile of criticism at them. If Adam Henrique is healthy, he's helping out. He's definitely helping this team out. A healthy Adam Henrique would be. But unfortunately for him and them, he's just not. So what are you left with in the top six? What do you do? Well, Rob Brown made this point last night, and we've been hard on the bottom six, and I think it's fair, but I also think it's fair to say they've been doing a lot of sitting on the bench watching other people play.
Yeah.
Like, they have been rolling McDavid and Draisaitl out there an ungodly number of minutes the last couple of games. And part of the problem, and Jay Woodcroft found this, is when you engage them to that degree, you disengage everybody else. And so now you've got fourth line players who would be saying, that's fine, great, sure, criticize me. I'm getting 6 minutes. What do you want from me in 6 minutes? And there is a fair point to be made along those lines. So I think that Chris Knobloch probably needed to be figuring out a way to keep those players engaged. And I think he knows this formula is not going to get them anywhere in the postseason playing these guys 30 minutes a night. So it's time, if Draisaitl can handle it, it's time to separate those two, get McDavid and Draisaitl back on separate lines. I think he would have to consider going 93, 97, 18 again. It's the best line they had all season long, not even close to being the best line that they had all season long. It was by a mile. And then you look at Evander Kane with Dylan Holloway and Leon Draisaitl would be my thought on that second line. You give Warren Foegele another chance here because he's going to want to earn that back. But in a third line role, Ryan McLeod in the middle, and then I think Corey Perry over on the right side is fine. If you want to pull Perry out and put Gagne in instead, veteran skill, I could maybe understand that, but I'm not sure. This is kind of what you have Corey Perry for.
Yeah.
So I'm not sold on that change. And then Carrick in the middle on the fourth line. Matthias Janmark, I thought actually played not bad, played pretty well, and I would have liked to have seen some more minutes for him.
Yep.
And then, so now it's about Brown. You got some decisions to make. I think 39 and 89 at the same time is not the right call. So
how does he avoid that temptation, though,
to
not go to that well, right? Like, it's kind of a chicken and the egg. You can't produce if you're not getting any minutes, but he's not giving you any minutes because he seems to think, whether right or wrong, that this is going to give him the best chance to win.
Yeah, so I think players need to do a better job of giving the coach no choice, right? That's the thing. I believe that if somebody went out there and was like finishing checks and creating and all that, I mean, I think the coach would love it. Okay, great. Sure. Keep putting that guy out too, right?
Yeah.
But I do think he missed some opportunities, right? Janmark and Ryan had some really good shifts and some really good looks. They played next to no minutes in that game. Basically played them out of the game because, frankly, he continued to play guys that should have been benched. So I think that just reading, and I think Chris Knobloch's really good on that bench for the most part and does a good job with these things, but I would have liked to have seen more Janmark and less Foegele last night, right? I would have liked to have seen some guys that were showing up to have gotten elevated minutes, maybe juggle the lines around, put more of a focus on them, and guys who aren't in the fight, sit them down. Sit them down. Doesn't matter what they've done all year for you. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Sit them down if they're not in the fight. That's the minimum requirement in the playoffs. If you're not in the fight, you don't get to play. Because I tell you what, the other head coach did that. And the other head coach made some lineup changes and brought some guys in, and those guys were gamers. Yeah. So That's what's required right now.
Feelings be damned. I agree with you there. And I just want to finish up. We've worked our way out brilliantly here. We're painting a nice picture. Let's get to the coaching. Let's get to the benches. You just had your thoughts on Knobloch. I think Tocchet's been doing a great job man-to-man with his bench and his roster, albeit watching him closer in this series. But your thoughts on the coaching balance here between the two teams and how you see this kind of evolving as we make our way through the series as well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why Knobloch has done what he's done. You're down 1-0 in Vancouver. You have to win that game. So if you're losing that game, you're losing with a pile of Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on the ice. I get it. I mean, we've seen every other Oiler coach over the last 7-8 years have to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think you do also need to recognize, and he does, because he said it after the game, that's not the formula to get anywhere. It's just not. So he needs to figure out how to get more from his bench. He needs to figure out how to get more from more players. And that is a combination of him making a conscious effort to keep more guys engaged. But I think it also has to do with sending the message crystal clear that if you didn't show up to play tonight, there's going to be a price to be paid for that. And, outside of 29, 97, 18, it really that has to apply to everybody. Like, I think at even strength, Nugent Hopkins has a lot more to give too.
Yeah.
So I think for Chris Knobloch, he's got to keep more guys engaged, but he's got to pick and choose the right guys to keep engaged. He's got to back off the minutes of the big guys, and I think he's got to separate them.
Easy job to do. I mean, that sounds very simple to kind of walk that line and determine all that. Ryan, I want to thank you for your time again. I did see a young individual drafted last week in the WHL draft. Any connection there? Do you want to kind of take a few seconds, please? Yes.
Yeah. My nephew Sam, who plays out of Calgary, was drafted by Vancouver, which is very cool. So that's my brother Rob, his son Sam, and the first one in our family to be drafted in the Bantam draft. So
exceptional
congratulations to him. It was pretty cool.
Exceptional. Yeah.
He's an exceptionally amazing young kid. How's that?
Great nephew. Hey, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, awesome nephew.
Really appreciate your time, and what do you got coming down the pipe as well for listeners and viewers as well? We're going to catch your
So we dropped one last night. Great post game pod last night. Brownie was on fire. Struds was awesome last night. So definitely encourage you to check that out. And then we're just in the chat right now, figuring out if we should drop one tonight. So I think we're leaning towards doing it, but keep an eye on our socials, and we'll get another podcast out there tonight, because I'll be down at the rink today. We'll figure out what's going on. We'll see what the head coach says about the goaltending. We'll see. By the way, guys, very, very unusual. Stuart Skinner is probably the most accountable player I have ever covered. Like, the guy's unreal. He comes out and he stands there and he answers your questions, and he doesn't get combative, and he owns his mistakes. He's been amazing. Last night decided not to come out, and that is so unlike him. That is so unlike him. And the rules are you have to come out. Like, there's no choice in the matter. Like, when you get to the third or fourth round of the playoffs, the NHL steps in. There's no ducking the media, right? And so players need to get used to, on a big stage, if things go bad and you got to come, that's just part of the job, right? So, there shouldn't be a choice, but he didn't come out last night. And why I mention it is because it's so out of character for him. So you think about how high the pressure is right now. For Stuart Skinner to not come out and do his media is so out of character for him. And I just thought it was notable that he didn't, because he just never does that.
That's something to keep in, and those are those details, man. And that's why we pay.
I'm sure he'll talk today.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I'm sure he'll talk today, but we were looking at each other going, what? Like, what? He always comes out, right? Always. But the pressure is high, man. The pressure is high right now, and it's going to be interesting to see the choices the Oilers make and the way some of these players respond.
Shoggy, just a quick one in closing. Do you think the Oilers keep this decision on the goalie? Do they keep that close to the vest, or do you think you'll have something firm today?
Yeah, it's a great question, Jay, and I'm not sure. We're learning about this head coach as we go. He's been the most transparent of all the Oilers head coaches about his lineup. He doesn't worry. He doesn't try and play head games. He's not trying to play chess with us, thinking we're all playing checkers. He generally just says what he can say. With that said, they're not skating. It's going to be a team meeting. I have a feeling they're going to say we're still looking at it. And then we'll find out at the morning skate tomorrow, and then the starting goalie will talk. But I think we'll speak to Skinner today. Chris will probably not give us a firm answer today, and we'll wait till tomorrow, would be my thought.
Ryan, we'll let you get back to the beat here. Appreciate your time, man, as always, and good luck. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, guys. Great to chat with you. Have a great show.
There you have it. Ryan Rishaug from the Got Your Back podcast, as well TSN, your Edmonton-based reporter, all things Edmonton Oilers, and he joins us as usual on Monday mornings. We appreciate his time. A little extra shoggy today. We thought, why not? He was eager. He was fired up. You got to love that. From our daddy, as a lot of people are calling him on the Nasty Chat here. But Ryan was fired up, and you are too this morning, Nasty Chat and Paris Steelers inbox. So a little extra time with him following a Game 3 is never a bad thing as well. But I think we did a nice little build-up.
Give
from
the people what they want.
We give them what they want. We solved, I think, mainly all the issues. As he said, he'll go down today, and there'll be more. But we've done the chalk outline. We've got the things on. We went from the goaltending up. We've identified a lot. I don't know how you fix it all, but
interestingly enough, we had Dregs come on earlier and say that he figures that Skinner's going to get the call in Game 4. Then you had Rishaug, who's much closer to the team, I will say, and he had a little bit more emphasis in his belief that Pickard is going to get the start tomorrow night.
What would you do, and what do you think is going to happen? And those are always two different. Like getting in the mind of a Chris Knobloch, or just straight up if you were behind the bench.
Knowing, not knowing, but kind of gauging who Knobloch has shown himself to be.
Reading the
tea leaves of Chris Knobloch. I'm kind of moving more towards Camp Rishaug, with thinking that Pickard might in fact get this to give Skinner that one game relief, where last year Rishaug said it, he couldn't get it back after he faltered. Now, they didn't have the opportunity to go to a guy like Pickard. Now, I do believe also that maybe a Knobloch could sell Pickard to the team a bit more and say, rally around Pickard, and you might see a totally different Oilers team. It could kickstart some things. You never know. But hearing that, it might put me in camp, Rishaug, in that in terms of who's going to be our goalie tomorrow.
And
night.
tomorrow's not an elimination game, technically. So you're throwing in a goaltender saying, yes, we need but you're not back against the wall, bottom of the ninth, 2-out scenario, where I think you're throwing a guy in there and he's kind of cooked before they drop the puck. We'll get into the wrap here real quickly, and it'll just basically be continuing thoughts on last night's game. But the wrap for William Huff. If you want your place to look as good as ours, visit the team, WilliamHuff.com. They've been in business since 1972, so they are incredible at what they do. Check them out today. They've got all your Oilers banners of every which shape and size, the stickers, the decals, the everything. And they also do this. They do the studio here, and we love them for that, and it's delicious. Besides the chicken cutlet sandwiches, and that we learned that you're very good at putting them together, what else did you learn on today's show?
I learned that
I'll take it from here, Jay.
This is for Corey, who said, "Damn, glue guy, how can you just leave that sandwich sitting there?"
Well, and after you take like 3 big bites, I asked you.
And I'm going to just do it.
Give me 5 answers.
What did I learn?
Jay.
What I learned that there is a lot of passion in regards to this Skinner Pickard debate.
What's the temperature? What do you think this city's at the temperature? What's this fan base right now? Like we're looking at a 1 to 10 or whatever you want to say. What's the panic at here?
10.5. In between the net. In between the pipe. Right? And there's a lot, and I guess rightfully so.
Yep.
The save percentages for Skinner have been dropping since, he had that shutout against the Kings. They've been getting progressively worse. Like Rishaug just said, maybe this is time to just, put a pin in it, give a break, give a 1-game break or however long. My only issue is, well, not issue, but what if Pickard comes out and stands on his head? Right? Are the Oilers rolling with Pickard from then on? I guess that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But I learned that, Eric, this is the first time I've been in this seat after a postseason loss.
How do you feel? Hey, good.
I'm just reeking in the passion. I love it.
Got to hose you off at the spa downstairs afterwards.
I'm hot.
For a willow branch whipping.
But that's awesome. That's what sports bring out in people. Sports bring out in communities, cities like Edmonton. It's good to see. Whether you love, are mad or happy.
It's emotion, though.
It's it.
You're going to have
That's
an emotion
what sports
one
is
way or
about.
another. A text of the day. Did you identify one particular or have a couple in your
I did. I got to find it.
Okay.
I did.
Do you have
I
a name?
find it.
I can search the name.
BB.
BB? Oh, yeah. I saw BB here. No problem.
BB.
Let's
Or you
BB
can
got
search
cooking.
it.
Here we go. Chop Hughes in half. Make him pay.
Nope.
Derek, was it the Derek Ryan? Draisaitl starting to sound like a Maple Leaf. Oh, we got a Pickard game coming up.
Yes.
There it
we
is.
got a
PB,
Pickard
text of the
game
day.
up.
You're off to A&W. Congratulations. We'll end it here. We'll let the boys get, I think all the roster is set. They just need to kind of chalk up their lines and see who's sitting where. But the hangout, of course, coming up next. Matthew Iwanek, Tom Gazzola in studio. Murray McCourt from the Ranch Golf and Country Club is here as well. Usually on Mondays, he's a Monday guest. And Redbeard, I do believe, ex-Sobeys and Safeway Liquor. So Redbeard will be in. Should be a great hangout, Monday morning hangout. And again, the conversation is just going to keep humming. This is what we're doing. This is where we're at. And I think we're in one here, Oil Country. 2-1 down. How are you feeling? Where are you feeling heading into tomorrow? We've done our best to forensic audit last night. And once again, it'll continue throughout the day today. Hangout coming up next. Matthew Iwanek. For Zactum behind the monitors, who was doing it all today. He had the music going, the club beat loop, the ticker, the conch, the whole bit, and you ate a chicken cutlet sandwich. And a dirty mind. Dirtiest mind in the biz right here, old Zactum. Hey, he's the youth of today. Tom Gazzola's in. He's ready to race. So for Zactum, Jason Milne, can't thank you enough. You drive farther than I walk most weekends to get in here on a weekday morning. But your first taste of an Oilers playoff morning after.
Spicy.
You made the sandwiches. It was a great morning. So, and Dustin Nielsen again, he'll be on the call tomorrow night, traveling today. Tomorrow night down to Moose Jaw, Game 3, Warriors and Winterhawks. And, of course, we'll be back tomorrow setting up Game 4, Oilers and Canucks. So for Zactum, I'm Lieutenant Eric, Jason Milne. Have yourself a good rest of the day. Eat some food, get some stuff, go to Pro-Am, buy some things. Retail therapy, hangout coming up next. Iwanek, Gazzola, and crew. Love you.